The Trill Empire's flagship looms over Earth, its shadow an ominous portent of humanity's potential doom. Admiral Zexarn's planet-wide broadcast crackles through every device capable of receiving a signal. Surrender now or face annihilation. In the Pentagon's bustling corridors, Kyle Foster weaves through a sea of frantic military personnel. The former Special Forces operative, now a civilian defense contractor, feels the weight of Earth's predicament with each step. General Hawkins, his old commanding officer, stands rigid in the Situation Room, face grim as he briefs Kyle on the unfolding catastrophe. "They've taken out our satellites, jammed our comms. We're flying blind, son," Hawkins says, his voice gruff with barely contained fury. "But you've got the skills we need right now." Kyle's mind races, processing the gravity of the situation. Earth, his home, stands on the precipice of becoming another conquered world in the Trill Empire's ever-expanding territory. The thought ignites a fire in his gut, not on his watch. Dr. Elva, a Trill defector, steps forward. Her alien features, so foreign yet somehow familiar after a year of secret collaboration with human scientists, contort with worry. "The Trill seek your world's resources," she explains, her words clipped and urgent. "They've conquered countless planets, but Earth is different." Kyle listens intently as Elva reveals critical intelligence about Trill weaknesses and their advanced weaponry. Each piece of information could be the key to humanity's survival. General Hawkins lays out the mission: infiltrate the Celestial Dominator using a prototype stealth shuttle, sabotage its primary systems, and gather intelligence on Trill technology. A suicide mission by any other name. But Kyle understands the stakes. Earth's fate hangs in the balance. As Kyle absorbs the details, reports flood in from around the globe. Trill forces have begun planetary landings, targeting major cities and military installations. The clock isn't just ticking, it's screaming. Kyle's team assembles quickly, a hand-picked group of Earth's finest, each bringing unique skills to the table. They move with practiced efficiency, loading gear into the sleek experimental shuttle. The prototype's stealth capabilities are humanity's best hope for slipping past the Trill's formidable defenses. Standing at the shuttle's entrance, Kyle takes a final look at the bustling hangar. The faces of his fellow humans, soldiers, scientists, technicians, are etched with determination. They're counting on him, on his team. The weight of their trust settles on his shoulders, a familiar burden he's carried in countless operations. But this is different. This isn't just about completing a mission. It's about the survival of his species, about proving that humanity won't go down without a fight. The Trill Empire is about to learn a harsh lesson. When you threaten Earth, you better be prepared for the consequences. As the shuttle's engines hum to life, Kyle's resolve hardens. Failure is not an option. The mighty Trill Empire is about to face an adversary unlike any they've encountered before. Earth isn't just another planet to be conquered. It's the world that will bring the Trill to their knees. The shuttle's door seals shut. Kyle takes his position, mind focused on the monumental task ahead. As they lift off, a grim smile plays across his lips. The Trill wanted to find out what Earth was made of? Well, they're about to get their answer, and it's going to hurt. The shuttle's engines roared to life, propelling Kyle and his team skyward. As they ascended through the atmosphere, the devastation below came into stark relief. Plumes of smoke rose from major cities, the aftermath of the Trill's initial assault. Kyle's hands gripped the controls, his mind focused as he navigated through a treacherous field of debris. Shattered satellites and the remnants of human aircraft drifted past the viewports, a grim reminder of the battle already lost. "My God," Sarah Chen whispered, her eyes wide as she took in the destruction. The brilliant hacker's fingers flew over her console, scanning for any remaining functional communications networks. Marcus Rodriguez, the team's demolitions expert, peered out at the carnage. "They really did a number on us, huh?" His voice was low, tinged with a mix of awe and anger. Dr. Elva stood behind Kyle, her alien features set in a mask of concentration. "The Celestial Dominator will be in low orbit, directly above what you call the Pacific Ocean," she said, her words clipped and precise. Kyle nodded, adjusting their course. The stealth shuttle hummed softly, its advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible to Trill sensors. They climbed higher, breaking free of the atmosphere and into the inky blackness of space. And there it was, the Celestial Dominator. The Trill flagship loomed before them, a behemoth that dwarfed any human vessel. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, crisscrossed by pulsating energy conduits that gave the impression of a living, breathing entity. "Holy!" Marcus breathed, unable to finish the thought. Kyle swallowed hard, forcing down the surge of intimidation that threatened to overwhelm him. "Dr. Elva, where's our entry point?" The Trill defector leaned forward, pointing to a specific section of the massive ship. "There, that's a maintenance port, less likely to be heavily guarded." With practiced precision, Kyle maneuvered the shuttle towards the designated area. The team held their breath as they approached, half expecting alarms to blare at any moment. But the Trill defenses remained silent, oblivious to their presence. The docking procedure was tense, each moment stretching into an eternity as Kyle carefully aligned their vessel with the alien port. There was a soft thud and a hiss as the shuttle's advanced docking mechanisms engaged, creating an airtight seal. "We're in," Kyle announced, his voice tight with focus. "Suit up." The team donned their specially designed exosuits, a marvel of human ingenuity and Trill technology. Dr. Elva had provided crucial insights that allowed Earth scientists to create armor that would help them blend in aboard the alien ship. As they gathered by the airlock, Kyle looked at each member of his team. Sarah, her dark eyes sharp with intelligence. Marcus, his muscular frame coiled with nervous energy. And Dr. Elva, the weight of her betrayal to her own kind, evident in the set of her shoulders. "Remember," Kyle said softly, "we're humanity's last hope. Whatever happens in there, we complete the mission. Understood?" They nodded, faces grim behind their visors. With a deep breath, Kyle activated the airlock. The door slid open, revealing the alien interior of the Celestial Dominator. They stepped through, weapons at the ready, into the belly of the beast. The corridor before them twisted at impossible angles, its walls alive with biomechanical interfaces that pulsed with an eerie internal light. The air felt thick, heavy with an alien scent that their suits couldn't fully filter out. "This way," Dr. Elva whispered, gesturing down a branching pathway. "The central control nexus is our primary target." They moved swiftly but cautiously, every sense on high alert. The ship's layout was disorienting, corridors merging and splitting in ways that defied human architectural logic. More than once, Kyle found himself fighting a wave of vertigo as they navigated the alien labyrinth. Suddenly, Dr. Elva held up a hand, stopping the group in their tracks. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed from around a corner. Kyle's grip tightened on his weapon, adrenaline surging through his veins. A group of Trill engineers rounded the bend, nearly colliding with Kyle's squad. Time seemed to freeze as both groups stared at each other, the moment balanced on a knife's edge. Dr. Elva stepped forward, her posture changing subtly as she addressed the engineers in the clicking, multi-tone language of the Trill. Kyle watched, hardly daring to breathe, as she gestured to their group, her movements confident and authoritative. The lead engineer tilted his head, eyes narrowing as he considered Dr. Elva's words. After what felt like an eternity, he nodded and barked an order to his team. They moved past, eyeing the humans with curiosity but no apparent suspicion. As the engineers disappeared down the corridor, Kyle let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "What did you tell them?" he asked Dr. Elva. "That we're a specialized maintenance crew sent to check on critical systems," she replied, her voice shaky with relief. "It worked, but we won't be able to maintain this ruse for long. We need to move quickly." They pressed on, the encounter adding a new urgency to their steps. Soon they found themselves in a vast chamber, dominated by a pulsing core of energy that could only be the ship's power source. Marcus immediately set to work, placing explosive charges at key points identified by Dr. Elva. Sarah found a terminal and began the delicate process of hacking into the ship's mainframe, her fingers flying over the alien interface. Kyle and Dr. Elva took up defensive positions, watching the chamber's entrances with growing unease. In the distance, alarms began to sound, their alien wail sending a chill down Kyle's spine. "How much longer?" he called to his team. Almost there, Sarah replied, her voice strained with concentration. Marcus placed the last charge. Explosives are set. Ready when you are, boss. Before Kyle could respond, the chamber's main door slid open. A squad of Trill soldiers poured in, their weapons raised and ready to fire. Take cover, Kyle shouted, diving behind a piece of alien machinery as energy bolts sizzled through the air where he had been standing. The chamber erupted into chaos. Kyle and his team returned fire, their earth weapons proving surprisingly effective against the Trill armor. The air filled with the acrid smell of ozone and burning metal as both sides exchanged volleys. Sarah, Marcus, finish up and get to the exit, Kyle ordered, laying down suppressing fire to cover his team's movements. Sarah disconnected from the terminal, clutching a data device to her chest as she ran. Marcus followed close behind, remote detonator in hand. As they fought their way back towards the docking port, Kyle made a split-second decision. Change of plans, he shouted over the din of battle. Sarah, Marcus, take the shuttle and get that data back to Earth. Dr. Elva and I will create a diversion. But Kyle, Sarah began to protest. That's an order. Kyle cut her off. The mission comes first. Go! With a final pained look, Sarah and Marcus broke off, sprinting towards the shuttle. Kyle and Dr. Elva turned, pushing deeper into the ship, drawing the Trill forces away from their escaping teammates. Where are we going? Dr. Elva asked as they ran. Kyle's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light. The bridge. It's time we had a chat with Admiral Zexarn. As they fought their way through the alien corridors, Kyle's mind raced. He knew the odds of survival were slim, but if they could keep the Trill occupied long enough for Sarah and Marcus to escape with the vital intelligence, it would all be worth it. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Ahead lay the unknown, and a confrontation that would determine the fate of Earth. Kyle gripped his weapon tighter, ready to face whatever came next. Kyle and Dr. Elva raced through the alien corridors, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind them. As they approached the bridge, the ship suddenly shuddered violently, throwing them off balance. The charges! Dr. Elva exclaimed, her eyes wide. Your team must have detonated them. Kyle nodded grimly, a mix of pride and concern washing over him. Let's hope Sarah and Marcus made it out safely. They pressed on, using the chaos of the explosions to their advantage. Trill soldiers rushed past them, too preoccupied with damage control to notice the intruders in their midst. Meanwhile, aboard the stealth shuttle, Sarah and Marcus watched in awe as explosions rippled across the massive Trill flagship. The viewport filled with blossoming fire and debris, a testament to their successful sabotage. We did it, Marcus breathed, his fingers still clutching the detonator. Sarah allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before reality set in. Look, she said, pointing to the space beyond the celestial dominator. Emerging from behind the moon, dozens of smaller Trill warships moved into view. They quickly formed a protective barrier around the damaged flagship, their sleek forms gliding into defensive positions. So much for an easy escape, Marcus muttered, his hands flying over the shuttle's controls. Sarah's mind raced as she assessed their options. We need to use every trick this stealth tech has. Take us in low and fast. As they maneuvered through the gauntlet of enemy vessels, Sarah's console lit up with an incoming transmission. Her brow furrowed as she worked to decrypt the message. It's from Earth, she announced, surprise evident in her voice. There's a resistance base in the Rocky Mountains. They're sending coordinates. Marcus glanced at her skeptically. Could be a trap. Sarah shook her head, her fingers dancing over the alien interface Dr. Elva had helped them understand. No, the encryption checks out. This is real. As they descended towards Earth's atmosphere, the true scale of the Trill invasion became horrifyingly clear. Alien ships swarmed around the planet, their energy weapons carving fiery swaths across the surface. Back on the celestial dominator, Kyle and Dr. Elva fought their way through waves of disorganized Trill soldiers. Alarms blared, and emergency lights bathed the corridors in an eerie, pulsating glow. There! Dr. Elva pointed to a reinforced door ahead. Secondary control room. Kyle nodded, raising his weapon. With practiced efficiency, he breached the door and neutralized the Trill operators inside before they could react. Dr. Elva immediately set to work, her fingers flying over the alien controls. "Kyle, look at this," she called, her voice tight with urgency. He joined her at the console, his eyes widening as he took in the information displayed. "They're not just after our resources," he murmured. "No," Dr. Elva confirmed. "They're searching for something specific, an artifact of immense power, hidden beneath Earth's surface." Before they could process this revelation, the doors burst open. A squad of elite Trill guards poured in, their weapons trained on Kyle and Dr. Elva. Kyle's mind raced, assessing their options in a split second. His eyes landed on a Trill energy weapon mounted on the wall. In one fluid motion, he grabbed it and fired at the nearest airlock controls. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The airlock opened with a deafening hiss, and the vacuum of space began to pull everything towards it. Trill soldiers were sucked out into the void, their screams cut short as the airlock sealed behind them. Kyle and Dr. Elva clung desperately to the console, fighting against the pull. With a Herculean effort, Kyle reached out and grabbed Dr. Elva's arm, pulling her towards a small maintenance shaft. They tumbled into the cramped space, sealing the hatch behind them just as the room depressurized completely. For a moment they lay there, gasping for breath, the enormity of their narrow escape sinking in. "That was reckless," Dr. Elva managed between breaths. Kyle allowed himself a grim smile. "Sometimes, reckless is all we've got." As they regrouped, preparing to push deeper into the ship, Kyle couldn't help but wonder about the fate of Sarah and Marcus. Had they made it safely back to Earth? And what was this artifact the Trill were so desperately seeking? On Earth, Sarah and Marcus guided their shuttle towards the coordinates of the Resistance base. The Rockies loomed before them, their peaks offering a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding across the globe. As they approached, a section of the mountainside shimmered and disappeared, revealing a hidden hangar. They landed smoothly, the shuttle's engines powering down as armed figures approached. A grizzled man with the bearing of a career soldier stepped forward. "I'm Colonel Jack Harper," he introduced himself. "Welcome to humanity's last stand." Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. They had made it this far, but the real battle was just beginning. As they followed Colonel Harper into the heart of the Resistance base, they knew that the fate of Earth now rested on what they would do next. Sarah and Marcus followed Colonel Harper through the winding corridors of the Resistance base, their minds racing with the implications of their successful mission. As they entered a bustling command center, the gravity of Earth's situation became painfully clear. Massive holographic displays flickered to life, showing the extent of the Trill invasion. Red markers swarmed across the globe, indicating alien strongholds and ongoing battles. Colonel Harper gestured towards a cluster of blue dots pushing back against the tide. "Your intelligence has given us a fighting chance," he said, his voice gruff but tinged with hope. "We've managed to reverse engineer some of their tech, giving our weapons an edge against their shields." Sarah's eyes widened as she took in the scope of the Resistance operation. "How did you manage all this?" she asked, gesturing to the advanced equipment around them. Harper's lips quirked into a half-smile. "We've had help. Dr. Samantha Wright, our chief scientist, has been working overtime to crack Trill tech." As if on cue, a woman in a lab coat burst into the room, her eyes bright with excitement. "Colonel, we've made a breakthrough," she exclaimed, barely acknowledging Sarah and Marcus. Dr. Wright's fingers flew across a nearby console, bringing up a complex molecular diagram. "The Trill's energy weapons and propulsion systems rely on an element not found on Earth," she explained rapidly. "It's why they're so desperate to find this artifact. We believe it contains a significant quantity of the substance." Marcus leaned in, studying the diagram. "Can we use this information against them?" Dr. Wright nodded emphatically. "I'm developing a method to disrupt their energy systems. If successful, it could turn the tide of this war." Colonel Harper's communicator chirped, interrupting the discussion. His face darkened as he listened to the message. "We've got movement. A massive Trill fleet just entered the solar system, ahead of schedule." The room erupted into a flurry of activity. Harper turned to Sarah and Marcus, his expression grim. "We need to accelerate our plans. Our window of opportunity is closing fast." Sarah stepped forward, her posture resolute. "What do you need us to do?" Harper pointed to a location on the global map, deep in the Siberian tundra. Our intel suggests the Trill are concentrating their search efforts here. We need a team to infiltrate and gather more information on this artifact thereafter. Marcus nodded, already mentally preparing for the mission. We're ready. As Sarah and Marcus geared up for their new assignment, halfway across the world, Kyle and Dr. Elva were fighting for survival aboard the damaged Celestial Dominator. Alarms blared as the ship's systems failed one by one. Kyle grabbed Dr. Elva's arm, pulling her towards a bank of sleek oval pods. "Emergency escape vessels," he shouted over the chaos. "It's our only shot." They clambered into one of the pods, Dr. Elva's fingers flying over the alien controls. With a hiss of depressurization, the pod shot free from the dying flagship. As they hurtled towards Earth's atmosphere, Kyle gripped the edges of his seat. "Any chance the Trill can track us?" Dr. Elva shook her head, her eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching planet. The pod's stealth systems engaged automatically. We're invisible to their sensors. The pod shuddered violently as it hit the atmosphere, flames licking at the viewport. Kyle's stomach lurched as they plummeted toward the ground, the vast expanse of the Canadian wilderness stretching out beneath them. With a bone-jarring impact, the pod crashed through the forest canopy, finally coming to rest in a small clearing. Kyle groaned, checking himself for injuries before turning to Dr. Elva. "You okay?" She nodded, already unbuckling her harness. "We need to move. Even with the stealth systems, they'll notice a missing pod eventually." As they emerged from the battered escape vessel, the magnitude of their situation sank in. Miles of dense forest surrounded them, the air crisp with the scent of pine and snow. Kyle activated a small communications device they'd salvaged from the pod. It crackled to life, intercepting transmissions on Trill frequencies. His brow furrowed as he listened. "They're talking about some kind of operation in Siberia. Sounds big." Dr. Elva's eyes widened with realization. "The artifact. They must be close to finding it." Kyle nodded grimly, pocketing the device. "Then that's where we need to go. With any luck, we'll run into Sarah and Marcus along the way." As Kyle and Dr. Elva began their grueling trek through the Canadian wilderness, Sarah and Marcus's team was touching down on the outskirts of the Trill's Siberian base. The harsh wind whipped snow around them as they activated their stealth suits, the advanced technology rendering them nearly invisible. Sarah signaled to her team, and they moved forward in perfect synchronization. As they crested a ridge, the full scale of the Trill operation came into view. Massive excavation equipment tore into the frozen earth, while pulsating energy drills bored deep into the permafrost. Trill soldiers swarmed over the site, their attention focused on the center of the complex. Marcus raised a pair of high-tech binoculars, zooming in on a heavily fortified structure. "That has to be where they're keeping whatever they found," he whispered. Sarah nodded, her mind already formulating a plan. "We need to get inside. If the Trill are this close to finding the artifact, we're running out of time." As they prepared to infiltrate the base, a sleek shuttle descended from the clouds. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the insignia on its hull. "It's Admiral Zexarn," she hissed. "This just got a lot more complicated." The ground beneath their feet trembled, and an eerie light began to emanate from the depths of the excavation site. Sarah and Marcus exchanged worried glances. Whatever the Trill were after, they were close to finding it. With the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, Sarah steeled herself for what was to come. They had one chance to stop the Trill and uncover the truth about the artifact. Failure was not an option. An option. With renewed drive, Sarah and Marcus led their team towards the heart of the Trill base. As they approached the central facility, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Sarah stumbled, catching herself against a nearby wall. "What was that?" she whispered. Marcus's eyes widened as he pointed to the sky. "Look!" Brilliant ribbons of light danced across the horizon, their ethereal glow illuminating the snow-covered landscape. The auroral display was unlike anything they had ever seen, pulsing with an otherworldly energy that seemed to emanate from the very earth beneath them. "It must be the artifact," Sarah realized, her voice barely audible over the low rumble that permeated the air. As if in response to her words, a massive tremor shook the ground, causing Trill soldiers to stumble and equipment to malfunction. Alarms blared across the complex, adding to the chaos. Sarah saw their opportunity. Now's our chance. Move! The team surged forward, taking advantage of the confusion. Trill defenses, disrupted by the strange energy pulses, offered little resistance as they breached the outer perimeter. Inside the facility, they encountered scenes of frantic activity. Trill scientists rushed back and forth, their usual composure replaced by obvious panic. Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances, silently acknowledging the gravity of the situation. As they pushed deeper into the complex, the energy in the air seemed to intensify. Static electricity crackled around them, making their hair stand on end. The walls themselves appeared to hum with power. Finally, they reached a massive set of doors. Marcus worked quickly to bypass the security systems, his fingers flying over the alien interface. With a hiss of hydraulics, the doors slid open, revealing a sight that took their breath away. Before them stretched a vast underground chamber, easily the size of several football fields. At its center, partially unearthed from the permafrost, stood a colossal obelisk. Its surface was covered in intricate glowing symbols that pulsed with an otherworldly light. Trill scientists swarmed around the artifact, their instruments sparking and malfunctioning as they attempted to study and contain its energy output. The air crackled with power, and Sarah felt a strange tingling sensation wash over her. "It's reacting to us," Marcus said, his voice filled with awe. "Look." As they cautiously approached, the symbols on the obelisk's surface began to shift and change. The pulsing energy seemed to focus, forming tendrils that reached out towards the humans. Sarah instinctively raised her hand, and a beam of energy connected with her palm. Instead of pain, she felt a rush of warmth and clarity. Images flashed through her mind, too fast to comprehend, but leaving her with a profound sense of purpose. "It's not just a weapon," she gasped as the connection broke. "It's so much more." Before they could investigate further, a commotion at the far end of the chamber caught their attention. Admiral Zexarn had arrived, flanked by a squad of elite guards. His eyes blazed with a mixture of fury and desperation as he surveyed the scene. "Intensify the excavation," he bellowed. "I don't care about the risks. We must have control of the artifact before—" His words were cut short as another tremor rocked the chamber. Cracks spider-webbed across the floor and ceiling, showering them with debris. Sarah's communicator crackled to life, startling her. A familiar voice came through, barely audible over the static. "Sarah? Marcus? Do you read me?" "Kyle," Sarah responded, her heart leaping. "Is that you?" "We're close," Kyle's voice replied. "Maybe an hour out. What's your situation?" Sarah quickly filled him in on their position and the state of the artifact. "We need your expertise," she concluded, "both yours and Dr. Elva's. This thing is beyond anything we've encountered." "Understood," Kyle responded. "Hold your position. We're coming in hot." As Sarah ended the transmission, she caught Marcus's eye. A silent understanding passed between them. They needed to secure the chamber and keep the Trill at bay until Kyle and Dr. Elva arrived. With renewed purpose, they began to formulate a plan. The artifact pulsed behind them, its energy filling the air with possibility and danger in equal measure. Whatever happened in the next hour would determine not just the fate of this battle, but potentially the entire war. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself amidst the chaos. The final confrontation was about to begin, and humanity's future hung in the balance. Balance. Sarah's eyes locked with Marcus's, a silent understanding passing between them. They had to hold their ground until reinforcements arrived. Suddenly, the chamber shook violently, causing everyone to stumble. The energy pulses from the artifact intensified, creating a dazzling light show that illuminated the cavernous space. Through the chaos, Sarah caught sight of movement at the far end of the chamber. Her heart leaped as she recognized the figures emerging from the shadows. Kyle Foster and Dr. Elva had arrived, flanked by a group of rugged individuals she didn't recognize. The newcomers moved with purpose, their eyes scanning the chamber for threats. Kyle quickly made his way to Sarah and Marcus, his face etched with dedication. "We made it," he said, his voice barely audible over the rumble of the artifact. "This is John Blackwood and his team of Canadian resistance fighters. They've been invaluable in getting us here. Dr. Elva stepped forward, her eyes wide as she took in the massive obelisk. Incredible, she breathed. The energy readings are off the charts. As the group huddled together, Kyle shared critical intelligence about Trill vulnerabilities they had gathered during their journey. Dr. Elva's expertise in Trill technology proved invaluable as they formulated a plan to seize control of the artifact chamber. "We need to act fast," Kyle urged, his special forces training kicking in. "The Trill are getting desperate, and we don't know how long this artifact will remain stable." Across the chamber, Admiral Zexarn barked orders at his scientists, his voice infused with panic. "Increase power to the drills. We must extract the artifact now, regardless of the consequences." The Trill energy drills whirred to life, their high-pitched whine filling the air as they bored into the ice surrounding the obelisk. Sarah watched in horror as cracks began to form in the ancient structure. "We have to stop them!" she shouted, but her words were drowned out by a deafening crack. The final layer of ice shattered, and a blinding surge of energy erupted from the artifact. The pulse swept through the chamber, overloading Trill technology and plunging the area into darkness. For a moment, all was silent. Then chaos erupted. Kyle's voice cut through the confusion. "Now's our chance! Move in!" The human forces surged forward, taking advantage of the Trill's disorientation. Sarah found herself caught in the midst of hand-to-hand combat, her training kicking in as she grappled with a Trill soldier. Around her, the resistance fighters showcased their physical prowess, quickly overpowering the alien guards. Marcus coordinated with John Blackwood, the two men working in tandem to secure the perimeter. Their movements were fluid and efficient, a testament to their years of combat experience. As the battle raged, Sarah caught sight of Dr. Elva making her way towards the artifact. She fought her way through the melee, providing cover for the scientist. "The symbols!" Dr. Elva shouted over the din of combat. "They're changing!" Sarah reached out, her hand hovering over the glowing surface of the obelisk. As her fingers made contact, she felt a jolt of energy course through her body. The symbols beneath her palm shifted, rearranging themselves into patterns that seemed oddly familiar. "It's responding to us," Sarah realized, her voice filled with awe. "Dr. Elva, I think this might be of human origin." Before the scientist could respond, a furious roar cut through the chamber. Admiral Zexarn had recovered from the initial shock and was now advancing on them, a deadly energy weapon clutched in his hands. "If I can't have it, no one will," the Admiral snarled, aiming the weapon at the artifact. Kyle, spotting the imminent threat, launched himself at Zexarn. The two collided in a flurry of limbs, showcasing the raw power of human physicality against Trill biology. They grappled fiercely, neither willing to give ground. Marcus, seeing Kyle's predicament, shouted to John, "Cover me!" Without waiting for a response, he sprinted towards the Trill energy weapon that Zexarn had dropped in the scuffle. As Kyle and Zexarn continued their brutal fight, Marcus worked feverishly to rig the alien device. His fingers flew over the unfamiliar controls, drawing on years of demolitions experience. "Everyone down!" Marcus yelled, activating the overload sequence. The resulting explosion rocked the chamber, sending debris flying in all directions. Kyle used the distraction to gain the upper hand, finally subduing the Trill Admiral with a well-placed strike. As the dust settled, Sarah and Dr. Elva returned their attention to the artifact. The obelisk now pulsed with a steady rhythm, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to respond to their presence. "It's some kind of AI system," Dr. Elva murmured, her eyes wide with excitement. "And look at these readings. The artifact contains vast quantities of the element the Trill have been after." Before they could investigate further, Kyle's communicator crackled to life. Colonel Harper's voice came through, filled with urgency. "Foster, do you read me? Something's happening globally. We're detecting energy signatures all over the planet, similar to what you're seeing there. And our ships, their systems are suddenly more powerful than we ever imagined possible." As if in response to Harper's words, the artifact's glow intensified. Sarah felt a surge of energy wash over her, and for a brief moment, she sensed a vast network connecting points across the globe. "It's not just this one," she realized. "There are more out there, and they're all activating." Kyle, still catching his breath from his fight with Zexarn, joined them at the artifact. We need to figure out what this means for us, and fast, because something tells me the Trill aren't going to be our only concern for long. As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the complex. John Blackwood, who had been monitoring communications, called out to the group. We've got incoming. Multiple unidentified objects just entered the solar system. They're not Trill, and they're heading straight for Earth. The team exchanged glances, the weight of their discovery, and the new threat settling over them. They had won this battle, but the war was not nearly finished. With the power of the artifacts at their fingertips and a captured Trill admiral in their custody, humanity stood on the precipice of a new era. As they prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. The true test of humanity's dedication was just beginning, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Balance. The true test of humanity's determination was just beginning, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Suddenly, the artifact's pulsing intensified, its energy radiating outward in concentric waves. Sarah felt a tingling sensation course through her body, and she watched in awe as the same effect rippled across the chamber, touching everyone and everything in its path. "What's happening?" Marcus shouted, his voice barely audible over the rising hum of energy. Before anyone could respond, their communication devices crackled to life, emitting a cacophony of overlapping transmissions. Colonel Harper's voice cut through the chaos, his tone a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "Foster, Chen, do you read? Something extraordinary is occurring. Our systems, they're evolving, upgrading themselves faster than we can comprehend." Kyle quickly activated his tactical display, his eyes widening as he processed the incoming data. "It's not just here," he reported, his voice tight with urgency. "The artifact network is activating globally. Earth's entire technological infrastructure is undergoing a massive transformation." As if to underscore his words, the chamber's lighting flickered and then stabilized at a higher intensity. The Trill equipment, previously damaged by the energy surge, began to hum back to life, its displays now showing unfamiliar but clearly more advanced interfaces. Dr. Elva, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock, approached one of the newly activated consoles. Her fingers danced across the holographic display, her expression shifting from confusion to understanding to awe. "This is incredible," she breathed. "The artifact isn't just a weapon or an energy source. It's an AI system, and it's interfacing with our technology, enhancing it beyond anything we've ever seen." Sarah joined her, watching as streams of data flowed across the screen. "Can you make sense of it?" she asked. Dr. Elva nodded, her eyes never leaving the display. "It's upgrading our defense systems, our communication networks, even our civilian infrastructure. It's like Earth is getting a complete technological overhaul in a matter of minutes." A groan from across the chamber drew their attention. Admiral Zexarn was regaining consciousness, his eyes focusing on the scene before him with growing horror. Kyle and Marcus quickly moved to secure the Trill leader, improvising restraints from salvaged equipment. As they worked, Kyle addressed the group. "We need to secure this facility and establish a perimeter. John," he said, turning to Blackwood, "can your team handle that?" The Canadian resistance fighter nodded grimly. "We're on it. What about him?" he asked, gesturing to Zexarn. "We'll need to set up a makeshift holding cell," Kyle replied. "We can't risk him escaping or communicating with the remaining Trill forces." As Blackwood's team moved out to secure the area, Sarah approached the captured admiral. Despite his predicament, Zexarn's eyes blazed with defiance. "You have no idea what you've done," he spat. "The power you've unleashed, it will bring the eyes of the galaxy upon you." Sarah was about to respond when a new alarm blared through the chamber. John Blackwood's voice came over the comm system, tense and urgent. "Foster, we've got a situation. Multiple unidentified objects just entered the solar system. They're not Trill, and they're heading straight for Earth." The team exchanged glances, the weight of this new development settling over them. Kyle quickly took charge, his special forces training kicking in. "Dr. Elva, keep working on deciphering the artifact systems. Marcus, help John's team secure the perimeter. Sarah, you're with me. We need to interrogate our guest and find out what he knows about these new arrivals. As the team dispersed to their tasks, Kyle turned to Zexarn, his expression hardening. All right, Admiral, it's time we had a chat about the bigger picture. Who else is out there, and what do they want with Earth? Zexarn's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement or resignation. You humans, he said, shaking his head. You've just announced your presence to the Galactic Council in the most dramatic way possible. And trust me, they won't be pleased about the upset you've caused to the balance of power. Kyle and Sarah exchanged a look of surprise. Galactic Council? Sarah asked, her mind racing with the implications. Before Zexarn could elaborate, Dr. Elva's excited voice called out from across the chamber. Kyle, Sarah, you need to see this. They hurried over to where Dr. Elva stood before a newly formed holographic projection. The image showed a three-dimensional map of Earth with pulsing points of light scattered across its surface. These are the other artifact sites, Dr. Elva explained, her voice filled with wonder. They're all activating, creating a global network. And look at this. She manipulated the controls, and the view zoomed out to show Earth surrounded by a shimmering, translucent sphere. Is that what I think it is? Kyle asked, his voice hushed. Dr. Elva nodded. An energy shield encompassing the entire planet. Our defenses just got a major upgrade. As they absorbed this information, Colonel Harper's voice came through their comms once more. Foster, we're detecting a transmission from the approaching ships. They're requesting a diplomatic meeting with Earth's leaders. They claim to represent something called the Galactic Council. Kyle took a deep breath, looking around at his team. The artifact pulsed steadily behind them, a reminder of the incredible power now at humanity's fingertips. Earth stood on the brink of a new era, facing both unprecedented opportunities and unknown dangers. Understood, Colonel, Kyle replied, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We'll prepare for contact. In the meantime, we need to consolidate our position here and gather all the intelligence we can. As Kyle began coordinating with Harper and the rest of the team, Sarah found her gaze drawn back to the holographic display of Earth. The network of artifacts glowed like a web of stars across the planet's surface, a testament to the ancient legacy they had awakened. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity was now armed with technology beyond their wildest dreams. The true test of their adaptability and perseverance was just beginning, as Earth prepared to take its first steps onto the galactic stage. As Kyle and his team processed the gravity of their situation, the artifact's pulsing energy seemed to synchronize with the beating of their hearts. The chamber, once filled with the chaos of battle, now thrummed with potential. We need to move quickly, Kyle said, his voice cutting through the tension. Colonel Harper, prepare a diplomatic team. We're going to meet these Galactic Council representatives. Sarah's eyes widened. You're not suggesting we go up there, are you? Kyle nodded, a determined glint in his eye. That's exactly what I'm suggesting. We need to show them that humanity is ready to step onto the galactic stage. As preparations began, Dr. Elva worked feverishly at the console, downloading as much data as possible from the artifact network. Meanwhile, Marcus and John's team secured the perimeter and prepared for potential threats. Within hours, a sleek vessel, its design a perfect fusion of human and artifact-enhanced technology, stood ready on a makeshift launch pad outside the Siberian facility. Kyle, Sarah, and a small team of experts boarded, their minds racing with the possibilities and dangers that lay ahead. As the ship lifted off, its engines humming with newfound power, Kyle gazed out the viewport. The Earth grew smaller beneath them, its surface now dotted with the pulsing lights of activated artifacts. But it was the sight that greeted them in orbit that took their breath away. Debris from the recent battle with the Trill littered Earth's orbit, a stark reminder of humanity's struggle and triumph. Twisted metal and shattered hulls drifted silently, some still glowing with residual energy from the conflict. Sarah pressed her hand against the viewport, her voice barely above a whisper. We did this. We actually stood up against an alien invasion and won. Kyle nodded, his expression a mix of pride and solemnity. And now we have to make sure we use this victory wisely. As they accelerated away from Earth, the ship's AI, an extension of the artifact network, came to life. A holographic interface materialized in the center of the bridge, its voice smooth and confident. "Greetings, representatives of Earth. I am Aria, Artificial Responsive Intelligence Assistant. I have been tasked with preparing you for your encounter with the Galactic Council." Kyle leaned forward, intrigued. "What can you tell us about them?" Aria's holographic form pulsed as it began a comprehensive briefing. The Galactic Council consists of several major species, each with unique characteristics and political agendas. Over the next few hours, as their ship traversed the solar system, Kyle and his team received a crash course in galactic politics. They learned of the Zorans, a species whose mastery of technology rivaled that of the artifacts themselves. The telepathic Mindari, whose complex social structures were built on a foundation of shared consciousness. And the Vexari, genetically engineered to adapt to any environment. "This information is crucial," Sarah noted, furiously taking notes. "We need to approach each species differently if we want to navigate these negotiations successfully." As they absorbed this knowledge, communications from Earth kept them updated on the rapidly evolving situation back home. Dr. Samantha Wright's voice crackled through the comm system, excitement evident in her tone. "Kyle, Sarah, we've made a breakthrough. The artifact network, it's not just about defense or communication. It contains terraforming technology. We could restore Earth's damaged ecosystems, maybe even make other planets in our solar system habitable." The implications of this discovery sent a ripple of excitement through the team. Kyle's mind raced with the possibilities. This changes everything. Our bargaining position, our future as a species. Another transmission interrupted his thoughts. John Blackwood's gruff voice filled the bridge. "Foster, you won't believe what we've found on Mars. There's another artifact installation here, similar to the one in Siberia. We've activated it, and it's linking up with the Earth network. Our reach is expanding throughout the solar system." As they processed this information, Aria's holographic form flickered. Approaching designated meeting point, Galactic Council space station detected. The team crowded around the viewports, awe spreading across their faces as they beheld the massive structure. It dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed, its design a harmonious blend of various alien architectural styles. Kyle took a deep breath, straightening his uniform. "This is it, team. Everything we've been through, everything we fought for, has led to this moment. Let's show the galaxy what humanity is made of." As their ship docked with the station, Kyle couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. They were about to step into a new era, one filled with untold possibilities and unknown dangers. The artifacts had given them power, but it was up to them to wield it wisely. The airlock hissed open, revealing a delegation of alien beings waiting to greet them. Kyle stepped forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that back on Earth and Mars, humanity was unlocking even more secrets that could change the course of galactic history. As the airlock doors slid open, Kyle took a deep breath and stepped forward, leading his team into the Grand Council chamber. The sight that greeted them was breathtaking. The chamber was a vast amphitheater, its curved walls adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change, representing the diverse cultures of the assembled species. Tiered seating rose in concentric circles, each occupied by beings of wildly different shapes, sizes, and colors. Kyle's team moved to the center of the chamber, where a raised platform awaited them. As they took their positions, a hush fell over the assembly. Kyle could feel the weight of countless alien gazes upon him, some curious, others wary. A being that Kyle recognized as a Zoran from Aria's briefing floated forward, its body a shimmering mass of energy contained within a translucent exoskeleton. When it spoke, its voice resonated throughout the chamber, translated instantly by the advanced communication systems. "Representatives of Earth, we welcome you to the Galactic Council. Your arrival has caused quite a stir among our members. We are eager to hear your address." Kyle nodded, his hand moving to activate the holographic projector they had brought. As he did so, he caught Sarah's eye. She gave him a reassuring nod and he began. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, we come before you today not just as representatives of Earth, but as bearers of crucial information that affects the entire galaxy. The holographic display sprang to life, filling the air above them with images of ancient star charts, strange alien structures, and ominous shadowy forms. What we are about to show you may seem difficult to believe, but I assure you, the evidence is irrefutable. Kyle continued. Long ago, our galaxy faced a threat of unimaginable power, the Void Titans. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as Kyle detailed the ancient menace that had nearly wiped out all intelligent life. He presented holographic reconstructions of devastating battles, entire star systems consumed by darkness, and the desperate measures taken by ancient civilizations to combat the threat. As Kyle spoke, he noticed the reactions of the council members. The Mindari representatives seemed to communicate silently among themselves, their large, expressive eyes widening in shared realization. The Vexari delegates shifted uneasily, their adaptive bodies reflecting the tension in the room. Suddenly, a priority transmission from Earth cut through the presentation. Dr. Samantha Wright's holographic form appeared beside Kyle, her face etched with urgency. Kyle, we've detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the solar system, she reported, her voice tight with concern. They match the Void Titan technology described in the ancient records. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates rose from their seats, voices raised in a cacophony of alien languages. Some called for immediate military action, while others urged caution and further investigation. Kyle raised his hands, calling for order. Members of the council, please! This is precisely why we've come before you today. The threat we face is real, and it affects us all. We must act together if we hope to survive. Drawing on his years of military experience and newfound diplomatic skills, Kyle proposed a joint task force. Let us combine the strengths of humanity with the knowledge and capabilities of the Galactic Council. Together, we can investigate this threat and prepare our defenses. As the council debated Kyle's proposal, another transmission came through, this time from Mars. John Blackwood's gruff voice filled the chamber. Foster, we've done it. We've revived some of the ancient humans from stasis. One of them is Dr. Arcturus Kane, the lead scientist behind the Artifact Network. He's already sharing critical information about the Void Titans. This news sent another wave of excitement through the council. The Joran representative floated forward once more. This is most unexpected, it said, its voice tinged with a mix of awe and apprehension. The return of these ancients could change everything. We must consider this carefully. As the council continued its heated discussions, Kyle received updates from Earth. Marcus Rodriguez reported on the rapid fortification efforts taking place globally, while Sarah Chen excitedly shared her breakthrough in deciphering the Artifact Network's most advanced protocols. Kyle, we can create stable wormholes, Sarah explained, her eyes shining with the implications. This could revolutionize our ability to coordinate a galaxy-wide defense. The Galactic Council's deliberations stretched on for hours, but finally, a consensus was reached. Earth would be granted provisional membership in the Council, with access to advanced alien technologies in exchange for sharing all information from the Artifact Network. As the historic session drew to a close, long-range sensors blared a warning. Multiple large objects were detected entering the outer solar system, moving at incredible speeds. Void Titan scout ships, Dr. Kane's voice confirmed over the comm link, dogged tenacity evident in his tone. Kyle and his team rushed back to their ship, knowing that every second counted. As they prepared for departure, the Artifact Network pulsed with energy, activating dormant defensive systems throughout the solar system. The ship's engines roared to life, propelling them back toward Earth at speeds that would have been impossible just days ago. Kyle stood at the viewport, watching as they hurtled past the gas giants, their moons now dotted with glowing artifact installations. We're about to face the greatest challenge in human history, Kyle said, turning to his team. But we're not alone. We have allies now, and technology beyond our wildest dreams. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Kyle could see the planet transformed. Energy shields shimmered over major cities, and orbital platforms bristled with advanced weaponry. The Artifact Network had awakened fully, preparing humanity for the coming storm. Dr. Kane's voice came over the ship's speakers, filled with equal parts excitement and trepidation. We're pushing the boundaries of science and technology at an unprecedented rate. The upgrades we're implementing, it's like compressing thousands of years of advancement into mere days. Kyle nodded, understanding the immense pressure they were all under. As their ship began its descent toward the glowing web of artifact installations that now covered Earth's surface, he knew that the real battle was just beginning. The Void Titans were coming, and humanity would need every ounce of its newfound knowledge and allies to face the ancient terror that threatened not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. As their ship streaked through Earth's atmosphere, the true scale of the transformation became apparent. The planet's surface was a tapestry of glowing lines and pulsing nodes. The artifact network now fully awakened and integrated into every aspect of human civilization. Kyle's team touched down at the newly constructed Global Defense Headquarters, buried deep within the Rocky Mountains. As they disembarked, they were greeted by a flurry of activity. Military personnel and scientists from around the world rushed about, their faces etched with a mixture of perseverance and barely concealed anxiety. Marcus Rodriguez, now sporting a general's insignia, strode towards them. "Welcome back," he said, his voice taut with urgency. "We've detected multiple Void Titan scout ships entering the outer solar system. Our new defense grid just came online, and not a moment too soon." Kyle nodded, taking in the information. "What's our current status?" Before Marcus could answer, a familiar voice cut through the din. "We're about to find out just how well our preparations have paid off." Kyle turned to see Dr. Arcturus Kane approaching, his ancient eyes gleaming with an intensity that belied his apparent age. The revived scientist gestured for them to follow him into the command center. As they entered, Kyle was struck by the sheer scale of the operation. Holographic displays filled the air, showing real-time data from across the solar system. On the main screen, ominous red dots representing the Void Titan scouts crept closer to Earth. Dr. Kane stepped up to a podium and activated a holographic projection. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we're about to face is unlike anything humanity has encountered before." The image shifted, showing a bizarrely shaped vessel that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. The Void Titans exist in a state between matter and energy, allowing them to phase through conventional defenses. A murmur of concern rippled through the assembled leaders. Admiral Zexarn, who had accompanied Kyle's team back to Earth, spoke up. "How can we fight an enemy we can't even touch?" Dr. Kane's expression was grim but determined. "We adapt, we innovate, we use every tool at our disposal." He gestured to Marcus, who stepped forward. "Using data from the artifact network, we've developed a system of interlocking energy fields," Marcus explained, bringing up a new holographic display. "These fields can detect and disrupt the Void Titan's unique molecular structure. We're deploying them around key installations and population centers as we speak." As if on cue, the main display lit up with alerts. Kyle watched in awe as massive energy shields sprang to life over major cities across the globe. Orbital defense platforms, their designs a fusion of human ingenuity and artifact technology, powered up their weapon systems. Sarah Chen, who had been working at a nearby console, suddenly called out, "We've got it! The wormhole creation protocol is online." Dr. Samantha Wright joined her, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. "Establishing strategic nodes throughout the solar system, now!" The main display updated, showing a web of interconnected points stretching from Earth to the outer planets. Kyle realized the implications immediately. This will allow us to deploy our forces anywhere in the system almost instantly. A priority alert cut through the air, silencing all conversation. John Blackwood's gruff voice came over the comms. "Foster, we've got company at Mars. A Void Titan scout just phased in near our position." Kyle's mind raced. This was it. Humanity's first true engagement with the Void Titans. "John, what's your status?" "We're bunkered down with the artifact installation," John replied, the sound of alarms blaring in the background. "Got a mixed team of our boys and some trill miners. We're ready for whatever comes our way." As tension mounted in the command center, another alert sounded. This time, it was from the asteroid belt. Kyle watched in horror as a Void Titan scout ship, easily the size of an aircraft carrier, materialized near Ceres. "All available ships, engage the enemy," Kyle ordered, his military training kicking in. He turned to Admiral Zexarn. "We could use some help out there." The Trill commander nodded, already activating his own communication device. "Trill fleet, move to support Earth forces in the asteroid belt. This is not a drill." The battle that unfolded was unlike anything Kyle had ever witnessed. Earth and Trill ships, their weapons enhanced by artifact technology, unleashed a barrage of energy at the Void Titan vessel. Yet many of their shots seemed to pass right through the alien ship, as if it were made of smoke. Kyle's eyes narrowed as he studied the engagement. There was a pattern to the Void Titan's movements, a rhythm to its attacks. "Wait for it to fire its main weapon," he called out to the fleet. "It becomes solid just before and after it attacks. That's our window." The next few minutes were a blur of coordinated strikes and evasive maneuvers. Kyle watched with a mixture of pride and anguish as human and Trill ships worked in perfect harmony, many sacrificing themselves to create the perfect opening. When the moment came, it was almost anticlimactic. A combined volley from 3 Earth destroyers and a Trill battlecruiser caught the Void Titan ship just as it solidified to fire. The alien vessel seemed to implode, collapsing in on itself before exploding in a burst of dark energy. A cheer went up in the command center, but Kyle knew better than to celebrate too soon. The main display was already updating with new information, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Beyond Neptune's orbit, a massive fleet of Void Titan ships was approaching. Hundreds of vessels, ranging from scouts to enormous dreadnoughts, were bearing down on the solar system. Dr. Kane's voice cut through the sudden silence. "The artifact network is reacting to the threat. Look!" All across the solar system, ancient structures were emerging from moons and dwarf planets. A defensive grid, dormant for millennia, was awakening to face the coming storm. As Kyle watched this incredible display of long-hidden power, his mind was already racing, formulating a plan. They had the wormhole network, they had the artifacts, and they had allies. Now they needed to use every advantage to strike before the full might of the Void Titans could be brought to bear. "Dr. Kane," Kyle said, turning to the ancient scientist, "I need options. How do we hit them before they hit us?" Kane's eyes gleamed with the light of challenge accepted. "I might have just the thing," he replied, bringing up a new set of schematics on the holographic display. "How do you feel about weaponizing a quantum singularity?" "Singularity as a weapon against the Void Titans?" Kyle's eyes widened as he studied the complex schematics. "Ambitious but risky. What are we looking at exactly?" Before Dr. Kane could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. Marcus Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos, his tone urgent. "Kyle, we've got a problem. The artifact network is showing signs of severe strain. Power fluctuations are destabilizing the entire grid." Kyle turned to Dr. Kane, who was already analyzing the incoming data. "It's worse than we thought," the ancient scientist muttered. "The unprecedented energy demands are overwhelming the network's power distribution system. If we don't act fast, we could lose our entire defense grid." "Options?" Kyle demanded, his mind racing through potential scenarios. Dr. Samantha Wright stepped forward, her face grim. "We've identified a critical flaw in the power distribution system. We need to manually recalibrate the power core at the largest artifact installation." "Where's that located?" Kyle asked, dreading the answer. "Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean," Dr. Wright replied. "It's a dangerous mission, but it's our only shot at stabilizing the network." Kyle nodded, making a split-second decision. "Marcus, I'm putting you in charge of this. Assemble a team of our best engineers and get down there. We need that power core recalibrated yesterday." As Marcus rushed off to prepare for the underwater mission, John Blackwood's voice crackled over the comms. "Foster, we've got a situation on Mars. Void Titan infiltrators have breached our defenses. They're trying to sabotage the artifact installation." Kyle's fist clenched. "Hold them off, John. Whatever it takes." "Understood," Blackwood replied, the sound of energy weapons discharging in the background. "These bastards can phase through walls. It's like fighting ghosts, but we'll give them hell." Admiral Zexarn approached Kyle, his expression resolute. "Commander Foster, Allow me to lead a diversionary attack against the approaching Void Titan fleet. A small task force of Trill ships could draw out their advanced scouts, buying you precious time to complete your preparations. Kyle hesitated, knowing the risks involved. Are you sure about this, Admiral? The casualties could be severe. Zexarn nodded solemnly. The Trill Empire stands with Earth. This is our fight too. As Kyle relayed Zexarn's plan to High Commander Vex Thor for approval, Sarah Chen's voice cut through the command center. Kyle, you need to see this. We're detecting an anomaly beyond Pluto's orbit. Kyle rushed to Sarah's station, studying the readings on her screen. What am I looking at? It's a previously uncharted planetoid, Sarah explained, her eyes wide with excitement. And it's emitting energy signatures identical to the artifact network. Dr. Kane joined them, his ancient eyes gleaming. Another installation? This could change everything. Kyle's mind raced, weighing their options. They couldn't ignore this potential game-changer, but splitting their forces was risky. After a moment's deliberation, he made his decision. Dr. Elva, Kyle called out to the Trill defector, I want you to lead an expedition to that planetoid. Use one of the new wormhole nodes to get there fast. Your expertise in both Trill and human tech makes you uniquely qualified for this mission. As Dr. Elva assembled her team, Kyle turned back to Dr. Kane. Now, about that quantum singularity weapon. Project Pandora, Dr. Kane said, pulling up new schematics. It's our best shot at creating a weapon capable of affecting the Void Titan's phase-shifted state, but we'll need rare materials from the asteroid belt to construct it. Kyle nodded, already formulating a plan. I'll coordinate a joint human-alien mining operation. We'll extract what we need and defend against any Void Titan scouts in the area. As the command center buzzed with activity, the artifact network suddenly flared to life. Holographic projections materialized throughout the room, displaying a message that made Kyle's blood run cold. Dr. Kane, Kyle said, his voice barely above a whisper. What am I looking at? The ancient scientist studied the projection, his face pale. It's a warning and a revelation. The artifact network has a final failsafe built into it. If we can't stop the Void Titans conventionally, it's designed to eliminate all life in the solar system. The weight of this knowledge settled on Kyle's shoulders like a physical burden. He looked around the room at the human and alien allies working together to save Earth and countless other worlds. The failsafe could be their last resort against the Void Titans, but revealing its existence could shatter the fragile coalition they'd built. As Kyle grappled with this moral dilemma, reports flooded in from across the solar system. Marcus Rodriguez and his team were en route to the underwater artifact installation. John Blackwood's forces on Mars were locked in a desperate battle against Void Titan infiltrators. Admiral Zexarn's Trill ships moved into position for their diversionary attack. Dr. Elva's expedition prepared to journey beyond Pluto, and in the asteroid belt, mining ships began their perilous work to gather materials for Project Pandora. Kyle Foster stood at the center of it all, coordinating the multifaceted defense of Earth and its allies. Through the command center's view screen, he could see the distant form of the Void Titan main fleet, a dark, ominous cloud steadily growing larger as it approached the solar system. The battle for survival was about to begin in earnest, and Kyle knew that every decision he made from this moment on could mean the difference between victory and annihilation and victory. Kyle took a deep breath, steeling himself for the difficult decision ahead. The weight of the artifact network's failsafe system pressed heavily on his mind. After a moment's contemplation, he made his choice. Admiral Zexarn, High Commander Vex Thor, I need to speak with you privately, Kyle said, his voice low but firm. There's something you need to know about the artifact network. As Kyle shared the information about the failsafe system with the alien representatives, Marcus Rodriguez and his team descended into the depths of the Pacific Ocean. The underwater artifact installation loomed before them, a massive structure pulsing with ethereal energy. All right, team, Marcus said through the comm system of his diving suit. We've got one shot at this. Let's make it count. The engineers worked swiftly, their movements precise despite the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. As Marcus reached the main control panel, he noticed something unusual, a bioneural interface pulsing with an otherworldly light. "Dr. Wright, are you seeing this?" Marcus asked, his voice tense. "Affirmative." Samantha's voice crackled through the comm. "It appears to be a direct mental link to the artifact network. But Marcus, the risks—" "We don't have time for caution," Marcus interrupted. "I'm going in." Before anyone could stop him, Marcus connected himself to the interface. His mind exploded with information, the vast network of artifacts spreading out before his consciousness like a web of stars. On Mars, John Blackwood wiped sweat from his brow as he surveyed the aftermath of the battle. The Void Titan infiltrators had been repelled, but at a terrible cost. "Status report," he barked into his comm. "Critical systems damage, sir," came the reply. "The artifact's core is destabilizing. If we don't act fast, we'll lose the entire Martian defense grid." John's mind raced. "Initiate emergency protocols. Activate the self-repair mechanisms. Now!" As the Martian installation began its repairs, John knew they were vulnerable. He could only hope the rest of the solar system's defenses would hold. In the void of space beyond Neptune, Admiral Zexarn's Trill Task Force engaged the Void Titan advanced scouts. The Trill ships darted and weaved, drawing out the enemy vessels with surgical precision. "Now," Zexarn commanded. "Concentrate fire on the lead scout." The coordinated attack caught the Void Titan ship off guard, its phase-shifted hull flickering as it took damage. But the victory was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout Zexarn's flagship as a massive energy surge struck the ship. "Admiral, we've lost engines and weapons," his second-in-command reported. "Hull integrity failing." Zexarn's eyes narrowed. He knew what had to be done. Set a collision course for the nearest Void Titan cruiser. Evacuate all non-essential personnel. As the crippled Trill flagship accelerated towards its target, Zexarn stood tall on the bridge, watching the enemy ship grow larger in the view screen. Meanwhile, beyond the orbit of Pluto, Dr. Elva and her expedition team stood in awe before the ancient space station hidden within the planetoid's core. The massive quantum computer at its heart hummed with power, its circuits glowing with an otherworldly light. "This is incredible," Dr. Elva breathed, her eyes wide. "This must be the central hub for the entire artifact network." As she approached the main console, a high-pitched whine filled the air. Suddenly, panels slid open in the walls, releasing swarms of sleek, deadly-looking drones. "Take cover!" Dr. Elva shouted, diving behind a nearby console as energy blasts scorched the air around them. Back on Earth, Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright huddled over the final components of Project Pandora. The quantum singularity at its heart pulsed with almost unchecked energy. "We've done it," Dr. Kane said, his voice filled with equal parts pride and trepidation. "But the power requirements—" Dr. Wright nodded grimly. "The artifact network is our only option, but using it will leave Earth vulnerable during the critical moment of the Void Titan's arrival." Before they could discuss further, Sarah Chen's voice cut through the tense atmosphere of the command center. "Kyle, we've got a problem. A group of Void Titan ships has broken off from the main fleet. They're heading straight for the sun." Kyle's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. "They're going to trigger a solar flare. If they succeed—" He didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the command center knew what was at stake. As Kyle began issuing orders to intercept the Solar Strike team, another alert blared through the command center. A communication request from an unexpected source flashed on the main screen. Kyle's eyes widened as he recognized the Trill encryption. "Put it through," he ordered. The face that appeared on the screen was not one Kyle recognized, but the Trill's expression was one of hardly restrained fury. "This is Commander Vex Alorn of the True Trill Empire," the alien snarled. "Your pitiful alliance has led our people astray. We are coming to claim what is rightfully ours. The power of the artifacts. Prepare to be annihilated." As the transmission cut off, Kyle found himself facing a perfect storm of threats. The Void Titan main fleet approached from one direction, while a splinter group raced towards the sun. A rogue Trill faction was en route to seize the artifact network. And at the heart of it all, Earth stood vulnerable, its defenses stretched to the breaking point. Kyle Foster took a deep breath, his mind racing through scenarios and strategies. He knew that the next few hours would determine not just the fate of Earth, but of the entire solar system and beyond. With unshakable focus, he began to issue orders, coordinating the most complex defensive operation in human history. As the Void Titan fleet entered the outer reaches of the solar system, Kyle could only hope that the fragile alliance he had forged would be enough to weather the coming storm. As the Void Titan main fleet entered the outer reaches of the solar system, Kyle Foster's eyes narrowed. The moment of truth had arrived. He turned to his command staff, his voice steady and resolute. "Initiate Operation Awakening," he ordered. Across the solar system, ancient structures stirred to life. On Europa, massive crystalline spires erupted from beneath the icy surface. Titan's methane lakes parted as colossal energy pylons rose into the orange sky. Even distant Eris revealed its secrets, a network of glowing conduits spreading across its surface like veins of light. Kyle watched as the defense grid came online, each activation point appearing as a bright node on the holographic display. The sheer scale of the network was breathtaking, a testament to the technological prowess of humanity's ancestors. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, Marcus Rodriguez's body convulsed as he maintained his connection to the artifact network. Blood trickled from his nose, but his eyes remained focused, seeing beyond the physical realm into the very fabric of the system. "Marcus, status report," Kyle's voice crackled through the comm. Marcus gritted his teeth, fighting through the pain. "Power distribution stabilized. The network is fully operational, but, Kyle, the strain, I don't know how long I can maintain this." Kyle's heart made. "Hold on, Marcus, we need you." On Mars, John Blackwood wiped soot from his faceplate as he surveyed the newly repaired artifact installation. The air shimmered with excess heat from the emergency repairs, but the systems were online and functional. "Martian defenses restored," John reported, "and not a moment too soon." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the facility. John's eyes widened as he saw the first wave of Void Titan ships entering the asteroid belt. "All batteries, open fire," he commanded. The Martian defense grid roared to life, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons. The space above Mars lit up like a supernova as the beams tore through the Void Titan scout ships. But more enemy vessels poured in, their phase-shifted hulls flickering as they adapted to the assault. In the distant reaches of the solar system, Dr. Elva and her team huddled behind a fallen pillar in the ancient space station. The air crackled with energy as defense drones continued their relentless attack. "We need to reach the main terminal," Dr. Elva shouted over the din of energy blasts. "The weapon schematics could turn the tide of this war." One of her team members, a young engineer named Kai, peeked over the pillar. "I count 6 drones. If we create a diversion, maybe we can—" His words were cut short as a stray energy blast grazed his shoulder, sending him sprawling. Dr. Elva pulled him back to safety, her mind racing for a solution. Back on Earth, Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright stood before the pulsing heart of Project Pandora. The quantum singularity at its core thrummed with impossibly strong power. "We're ready," Dr. Kane announced, his voice heavy with the weight of their decision. Kyle nodded, knowing what this meant. "Do it. Divert power from the planetary defenses." As the engineers began the power transfer, the lights in the Rocky Mountain Command Center flickered. Kyle watched the defensive readouts drop, leaving Earth terrifyingly vulnerable. In the space near the Sun, Captain Elena Volkov's mixed fleet engaged the Void Titan Solar Strike team. The battle was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Solar flares lashed out, threatening to engulf both sides as they maneuvered in the extreme conditions. "Evasive pattern Delta!" Elena barked as her flagship narrowly avoided a coronal mass ejection. "Concentrate fire on their lead ship!" The Allied fleet moved with practiced precision, their modified weapons exploiting the weakness discovered in the Void Titan shields. One by one, enemy ships fell, but the remaining Void Titans pressed on, determined to reach the Sun. As battles raged across the solar system, Kyle Foster found himself at the center of a storm of information and decisions. The holographic display before him was a chaos of moving points of light, each representing a ship, a weapon, or a life hanging in the balance. A priority alert flashed on his screen. It was Marcus Rodriguez, his face pale and drawn, blood now flowing freely from his nose. "Kyle," Marcus gasped, his voice weak. "I've found a way to disrupt their phasing. But the energy required, it would have to flow through me. I don't know if I can survive it." Kyle's heart sank. He looked at the tactical display, watching as the Void Titan main fleet pushed deeper into the solar system. The ancient defense grid was inflicting heavy losses, but the Void Titans were adapting, their phasing abilities allowing them to slip past the most devastating attacks. He thought of Earth, now vulnerable with its defenses diverted to Project Pandora. He thought of the battles raging from Mercury to Pluto, of the lives being lost with each passing second. And he thought of Marcus, his friend, who had already given so much. The weight of command had never felt heavier. Kyle Foster stood at the precipice of a decision that would shape the future of humanity and its allies. As the Void Titan fleet drew ever closer to Earth, he knew that time was running out. The next few moments would determine the fate of not just a planet, but an entire civilization. With a deep breath, Kyle prepared to give an order that would change everything. Kyle's voice cut through the tension in the command center. "Marcus, you have a go. Initiate the phasing disruption." Marcus Rodriguez, his face contorted with pain, nodded almost imperceptibly. He took a deep, shuddering breath and closed his eyes, channeling every ounce of his concentration into the bioneural interface. The effect was instantaneous and overwhelming. Marcus's body went rigid, his back arching as energy surged through him. Blood streamed from his eyes and ears, but his jaw remained clenched in fierce dedication. In the vacuum of space, an invisible wave rippled outward from Earth, spreading across the solar system at impossible speed. As it washed over the Void Titan fleet, their phase-shifted hulls flickered and failed. Kyle's eyes widened as he watched the tactical display. "All forces, this is your window. Concentrate fire on the Void Titans." The response was swift and devastating. Earth's defense grid roared to life, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons that tore through the suddenly vulnerable Void Titan ships. Trill warships and Galactic Council vessels joined the assault, their coordinated attack cutting swaths through the enemy fleet. Explosions blossomed in the void as Void Titan ships disintegrated under the onslaught. The main fleet, caught off guard by the loss of their phasing ability, struggled to regroup and mount an effective defense. In the command center, alarms blared as Marcus's vitals plummeted. Kyle watched in horror as his friend collapsed, smoke rising from his body. "Medical team to the artifact chamber, now!" As medics rushed to stabilize Marcus, Kyle forced himself to focus on the battle at hand. The phasing disruption was already beginning to fade. They needed to press their advantage while they still could. "Sarah, status report on the Void Titan fleet," Kyle barked. Sarah Chen's fingers flew over her console. "We've destroyed approximately 40% of their ships, sir. But the effect is wearing off. They're starting to regroup." Before Kyle could respond, another alert flashed on the main screen. Sarah's face paled as she processed the information. "Sir, we have a problem. The Rogue Trill faction is making a move on the Andes installation. They're attempting to breach our defenses." Kyle's mind raced. They couldn't afford to lose control of any major artifact installations. Not now. He opened a secure channel. "Blackwood, are you receiving?" John Blackwood's voice crackled through the comm. "Go ahead, Kyle. I need you to take a team to the Andes, ASAP. The Rogue Trills are trying to seize the installation there. Stop them at all costs." "Understood. We're on our way." As Blackwood's team deployed, Kyle received an urgent transmission from the outer reaches of the solar system. Dr. Elva's face appeared on the screen, her expression a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Kyle, we've done it. We've accessed the quantum computer at the heart of the artifact network. There's a set of command codes here that can reactivate the most powerful weapon systems of the ancient human civilization." Kyle's pulse quickened. "That's excellent news, Doctor." Dr. Elva hesitated. "There's a catch. Using these weapons, it could destabilize the entire solar system. The power output is beyond anything we've seen before." Kyle felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The Void Titans were regrouping, the Rogue Trills were making their move, and now this. He needed more information. "Send me everything you have on those weapon systems, Doctor. I need to know exactly what we're dealing with." As Dr. Elva's data began streaming in, Kyle turned his attention to the battle raging near the sun. Captain Elena Volkov's voice came through, tense but controlled. "Command, this is Volkov. Conventional tactics aren't working against the Solar Strike team. Requesting permission to attempt a high-risk maneuver." Kyle's eyes narrowed. "What do you have in mind, Captain?" "A slingshot around the sun. If we time it right, we can catch them from behind while they're focused on their approach." It was a daring plan, bordering on suicidal, but they were running out of options. "Do it, Captain. Good hunting." As Volkov's fleet began its perilous maneuver, Kyle turned to Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright. "Status on Project Pandora?" Dr. Kane nodded grimly. "We're ready, Kyle. The quantum singularity is stable. We can activate on your command." Kyle stared at the tactical display, watching as the various battles unfolded across the solar system. The Void Titan main fleet was recovering from the phasing disruption, preparing for another push towards Earth. Blackwood's team was engaging the rogue Trills in the Andes. Volkov's ships were swinging around the sun, preparing for their surprise attack. And at the center of it all stood Project Pandora, a weapon of unimaginable power that could turn the tide of the war, or potentially destroy everything they were fighting to protect. As Kyle weighed his options, a new alert flashed on the screen. Sarah's voice was tight with concern as she reported, "Sir, we're detecting anomalies in the space-time fabric. Micro wormholes are forming throughout the battlefield." Kyle watched in disbelief as ships and debris began randomly teleporting across vast distances, adding a new layer of chaos to the already complex battle. He knew that every second counted, that each moment of hesitation could mean the difference between victory and annihilation. With the fate of Earth and the entire solar system hanging in the balance, Kyle Foster prepared to make the most critical decision of his life. The next move would determine the course of the war and the future of humanity itself. Kyle's eyes darted across the holographic displays, absorbing the chaotic storm of information before him. The Void Titan fleet was regrouping, their phase-shifting technology already adapting to the disruption caused by Marcus's sacrifice. Time was running out. "Dr. Kane, Dr. Wright," Kyle's voice cut through the tense silence of the command center. "Initiate Project Pandora, now." The two scientists exchanged a grim look before nodding in unison. Dr. Kane's fingers flew across the control panel, entering a complex sequence of commands. The quantum singularity at the heart of Project Pandora pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its hum growing to a deafening roar. As the device powered up, the lights in the Rocky Mountain Command Center flickered and dimmed. Sarah Chen's voice rang out, "Sir, Earth's defensive systems are losing power. We're vulnerable." Kyle's heart made. He opened a secure channel to Admiral Zexarn. "Admiral, we need your fleet to form a protective screen around Earth. Our defenses are compromised." The Trill commander's gravelly voice crackled through the comm. "Understood, Foster. We're moving into position now." Kyle watched as the Allied ships maneuvered into a tight formation around Earth, their shields overlapping to create a protective bubble. It was a tenuous defense at best, but it would have to do. "All forces, this is Foster," Kyle broadcast to the Coalition fleet. "Initiate Operation Singularity Gambit. I repeat, Operation Singularity Gambit is a go." Across the solar system, Coalition ships began a coordinated retreat, drawing the Void Titan fleet towards Earth and towards Project Pandora. The massive quantum singularity device activated, creating a swirling vortex of energy at the edge of Earth's orbit. Captain Elena Volkov's voice crackled over the comm. "Command, this is Volkov. The Solar Strike team has been neutralized, but we're picking up a distress call from Dr. Elva's expedition. Request permission to respond." Kyle hesitated for a split second before replying. "Permission granted, Captain. Get them out of there." As Volkov's fleet raced towards the outer reaches of the solar system, Kyle turned his attention back to the main battle. The Void Titan ships were advancing, their weapons tearing through the retreating Coalition forces. Suddenly, the vortex created by Project Pandora expanded, its gravitational pull intensifying. The nearest Void Titan ships began to drift off course, caught in the Singularity's grasp. Kyle watched in awe as dozens of enemy vessels were drawn in, compressed into a space smaller than a pinhead. But the victory was short-lived. The more advanced Void Titan ships managed to break free, their engines straining against the pull of the singularity. As they escaped, a massive gravitational shockwave rippled through the solar system, battering both Void Titan and Coalition vessels alike. Alarms blared throughout the command center. Sarah's voice was tight with urgency. "Sir, we've got multiple hull breaches in our fleet. The Void Titans are regrouping for a counterattack." Before Kyle could respond, John Blackwood's face appeared on the main screen. "Foster, we've secured the Andes installation. The Rogue Trill faction has been neutralized, and we've captured their leader." Kyle nodded. "Good work, Blackwood. Get what information you can from the prisoner. We need to know why they turned on us." As Blackwood's team began their interrogation, another alert flashed on Kyle's display. Dr. Elva's panicked voice came through. "Kyle, the ancient computer is destabilizing. We're downloading as much data as we can, but we need immediate evacuation." Kyle's mind raced, trying to process the multiple crises unfolding simultaneously. He opened a channel to Volkov. "Captain, what's your ETA to Dr. Elva's position?" 15 minutes, sir," Volkov replied. "We're pushing our engines to the limit." Kyle turned to Sarah. "Keep me updated on their progress. We can't lose that team or the data they've recovered." Suddenly, Marcus Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm. "Kyle, I'm back online. There's something in the artifact network, a hidden protocol. It could destroy all the Void Titans in the system, but the cost would be catastrophic." Kyle's heart sank. Another impossible decision. Before he could respond, the main screen lit up with multiple atmospheric breaches. Sarah's voice was filled with dread. "Sir, Void Titan ships have entered Earth's atmosphere. They're heading for major population centers." The command center erupted into a frenzy of activity. Kyle's mind whirled, processing the cascade of information. Earth's defenses were down, Project Pandora was destabilizing, and now Void Titans were in their skies. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the decisions ahead. "Marcus," Kyle said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Activate the hidden protocol. We're out of options." As Marcus complied, the artifact network hummed to life. Long-dormant defense systems across Earth began to power up, their energy signatures lighting up the tactical display like a Christmas tree. Kyle turned to Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright. "Status on Project Pandora?" Dr. Kane's face was pale with concern. "The singularity is becoming unstable. If we don't find a way to channel the excess energy, it could collapse and take half the solar system with it." As if on cue, Admiral Zexarn's voice came through. "Foster, we have a proposal. We can use our faster-than-light drives to create a temporary wormhole, redirecting the excess energy into deep space. But it would mean sacrificing our remaining ships." Kyle closed his eyes for a moment, the weight of command pressing down on him. When he opened them, his gaze was resolute. "Do it, Admiral, and thank you." As the Trill fleet moved into position, long-range sensors lit up with new contacts. Sarah's voice was filled with disbelief. "Sir, we're detecting a massive wave of Void Titan reinforcements entering the system." Kyle Foster stood at the center of the command hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing battles raging across the solar system. Earth's newly awakened defenses fired into the sky, ancient weapons of unimaginable power striking at the invading Void Titan ships. In orbit, the Trill fleet prepared for their final sacrificial maneuver. The fate of Earth, perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. And in the midst of it all, Kyle Foster prepared to make his next move, knowing that every decision could mean the difference between salvation and annihilation. Annihilation. With a deep breath, Kyle steeled himself and began issuing rapid-fire orders. "Admiral Zexarn, initiate your wormhole plan. Marcus, activate the hidden protocol in the artifact network. Dr. Kane, Dr. Wright, prepare to channel the excess energy from Project Pandora into the wormhole." As the command center erupted into action, Kyle watched the tactical displays with laser-like focus. The Trill fleet moved into position around Project Pandora, forming a perfect circle. Their faster-than-light drives hummed to life in unison, creating a shimmering distortion in space-time. The wormhole blossomed into existence, a swirling vortex of impossible energies. The unstable quantum singularity at the heart of Project Pandora pulsed violently, its excess power funneling into the newly formed passage. The Trill ships groaned under the strain, their hulls buckling as they struggled to maintain the wormhole's integrity. "Sir, the Trill fleet is taking heavy damage," Sarah reported, her voice tight with concern. Kyle nodded grimly. They knew the risks. Their sacrifice won't be in vain. As Project Pandora stabilized, the artifact network came to life. A wave of energy surged through the solar system, invisible to the naked eye but clearly visible on the command center's sensors. The energy interacted with planets, moons, and asteroids, creating a complex web of gravitational distortions. The effect on the Void Titan fleet was immediate and devastating. Their ships lurched and spun, caught in the grip of conflicting gravitational forces. Metal screamed and twisted as the alien vessels were subjected to stresses far beyond their design tolerances. On Earth, the awakened defense systems sprang into action. Ancient weapon emplacements, hidden for millennia, emerged from their slumber. Massive energy cannons rose from hidden bunkers, their barrels tracking the Void Titan ships that had breached the atmosphere. "My God," Dr. Wright whispered, staring at the readings from Earth's surface. "The power output of those weapons, it's off the charts." The skies above Earth's major cities lit up with searing beams of energy. Void Titan ships, caught off guard by the sudden assault, exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Those that survived the initial barrage found themselves hounded by smaller, more agile defensive drones that seemed to anticipate their every move. In orbit, Captain Elena Volkov's voice crackled over the comm. "Command, this is Volkov. We're regrouping for a counterattack. The Void Titans are in disarray." Kyle leaned forward, studying the tactical display. "Understood, Captain. Use the gravitational distortions to your advantage. Hit them hard and fast." Volkov's fleet executed a series of complex maneuvers, weaving through the web of gravitational anomalies with practiced ease. The Void Titan ships, still struggling to compensate for the shifting gravitational landscape, were easy prey for the coalition forces. As the battle raged, a new alert flashed on Kyle's screen. "Sir," Sarah reported, "Dr. Elva's expedition team has returned. They're transmitting data from the ancient quantum computer." Kyle's eyes widened as he scanned the incoming information. "This is it," he muttered, "the key to fully controlling the artifact network." Without hesitation, he opened a channel to John Blackwood. "John, I'm sending you new activation codes for the Andes installation. We're bringing the entire network online." Blackwood's voice came through, clear and determined. "Roger that, Kyle. Inputting the codes now." Across the solar system, artifacts, both known and hidden, stirred to life. A shimmering energy field began to coalesce, stretching from the orbit of Mercury all the way to the distant Kuiper Belt. The unified defense grid hummed with power, creating an impenetrable barrier against the incoming Void Titan reinforcements. As the lead ships of the alien armada entered the outer solar system, they slammed into a series of artificially generated gravity wells. The massive vessels, each capable of laying waste to an entire planet, found themselves trapped in the space between Neptune and Uranus, unable to advance or retreat. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, alarms blared as new data streamed in. Sarah's voice cut through the cacophony. "Sir, Marcus's neural activity is off the charts. These patterns, it's as if he's directly interfacing with the artifact network." Kyle stared at the comatose form of Marcus Rodriguez, his mind racing with the implications. "Keep monitoring him. If he's controlling the network somehow, we need to know." Dr. Kane approached, his face a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Foster, you need to see this. The quantum singularity from Project Pandora. It's altering the laws of physics in a localized area of space." Kyle studied the data, a plan forming in his mind. "Can we use this to our advantage?" Dr. Kane nodded. "The Void Titans rely heavily on manipulating standard physical laws. In this altered space, their technology might be significantly weakened." Before Kyle could respond, a priority message flashed across his screen. The Galactic Council, observing the unprecedented display of power from Earth and its allies, was reaching out. As Kyle prepared to address the Council, he knew that the next few moments would shape not just the outcome of this battle, but the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. The Void Titans were on the back foot but far from defeated. And now, with the eyes of the galactic community upon them, Earth would have to navigate a delicate balance between survival and diplomacy. Kyle straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. The battle for Earth had entered a new phase, and he was determined to see it through to the end. With unwavering focus, he opened a secure channel to address the Galactic Council. Before he could begin, an urgent alert flashed across his screen. Sarah's voice cut through the tension. "Sir, we're receiving an unexpected transmission. It's from the Void Titans." Kyle's brow furrowed. "Put it through." The main display flickered, revealing a figure that sent a chill down Kyle's spine. The alien was tall, its form shrouded in writhing shadows. Piercing eyes glowed with an otherworldly intelligence. "I am Void Lord Zarketh." The alien's voice resonated, a symphony of discordant tones. "We request a ceasefire. Your resistance intrigues us." Kyle's mind raced, assessing the situation. He quickly opened a secure channel to Admiral Zexarn and the Galactic Council representatives. "This could be a trap," Zexarn's gravelly voice warned. The Galactic Council representative, a tall, willowy being named Lyrith, spoke next. "We must not squander this opportunity for dialogue. The consequences of this conflict reach far beyond your solar system." Kyle nodded, his decision made. "Agreed. We'll proceed with caution." He turned back to the main display. "Void Lord Zarketh, we accept your request for a ceasefire. We propose a neutral meeting point for diplomatic discussions." As the details were hashed out, Kyle turned to Dr. Elva. "I need you to lead our diplomatic team. Your expertise in both human and alien tech makes you our best shot at navigating this minefield." Dr. Elva's eyes widened, but she nodded resolutely. "I won't let you down, Kyle." As preparations for the diplomatic mission began, another alert sounded. John Blackwood's face appeared on a secondary screen, his expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Kyle, you're not going to believe this. We've found something in the Andes installation, a hidden chamber with stasis pods, like the ones on Mars. But one of them is active." Kyle leaned forward, his heart racing. "What are you saying, John?" "We've got a living ancient, Kyle. A general, by the looks of his uniform. We're beginning the revival process now." As this revelation sank in, the command center erupted into a flurry of activity. Kyle's mind whirled with the implications. A living ancient could provide invaluable insights into the artifact network and the true nature of the Void Titan threat. "John, keep me updated on the ancient's condition. As soon as he's stable, we need to debrief him." Kyle turned back to the main display, where the image of Void Lord Zarketh still loomed. "We'll be sending our diplomatic team shortly. In the meantime, I expect all Void Titan forces to maintain their current positions." The alien lord inclined his head slightly. "Agreed. We await your emissaries." As the transmission ended, Kyle felt the weight of countless lives resting on his shoulders. The ceasefire offered a brief respite, but he knew the real challenges were just beginning. Dr. Elva approached, her team assembled behind her. "We're ready, sir. Our ship is prepped with the latest artifact-enhanced defenses." Kyle clasped her shoulder. "Be careful out there, Doctor. We're counting on you." As Dr. Elva's team departed, Kyle received another urgent communication from the Andes installation. The ancient general had been successfully revived and was rapidly regaining his faculties. "Kyle," John Blackwood's voice crackled through the comm, "meet General Thaddeus Armstrong. He's got information that could change everything." The weathered face of General Armstrong appeared on the screen. Despite the millennia that had passed, his eyes burned with intelligence and drive. "Mr. Foster," Armstrong's voice was strong, belying his recent revival. "I understand our civilization faces extinction once again. The fail-safe system we implemented, it's time to activate it." Kyle leaned forward, his pulse quickening. "Fail-safe system?" Armstrong nodded gravely. "A network of control nodes scattered throughout the solar system. When activated in unison, they can neutralize the Void Titan threat permanently. But accessing them won't be easy. Many are likely in contested or enemy-controlled territory now." Kyle's mind raced, formulating a plan. He opened channels to Captain Elena Volkov, John Blackwood, and Admiral Zexarn. "Listen closely," Kyle began, his voice filled with urgency. "We're forming elite strike teams. Captain Volkov, you'll lead the team to secure the node on Titan. John, I need you on Venus. Admiral, I'm requesting one of your best officers to lead a joint human trill team to Pluto." As the strike teams prepared for deployment, Dr. Kane approached Kyle, his face etched with concern. "Foster, we've detected anomalies in the Project Pandora singularity. It's emitting energy bursts that seem to interfere with Void Titan tech. This could be a game changer." Kyle nodded, processing this new information. "Keep monitoring it. If we can weaponize those energy bursts, it could give us a crucial advantage." Suddenly, Sarah's voice cut through the command center. "Sir, Marcus's neural patterns, they're changing dramatically. It's as if he's connected to the entire artifact network." Kyle stared at the screens displaying Marcus's brain activity, the implications staggering. Could Marcus be the key to fully controlling the artifact network? As the Coalition fleet underwent rapid repairs and refitting, incorporating salvaged Void Titan technology, Kyle received a priority alert from the long-range sensors. "Massive energy buildup detected in the Kuiper belt," Sarah reported, her voice tense. "Readings suggest, sir, it could be a planet-killer weapon." Kyle's face hardened. The diplomatic mission, the strike teams, Marcus's condition, the Pandora anomalies, all the pieces were in motion. The next few hours would determine the fate of Earth and the entire solar system. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. The ceasefire had bought them time, but the real battle was about to begin. With unwavering drive, Kyle Foster prepared to lead humanity through its darkest hour, knowing that every decision, every order, could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Extinction. With unwavering focus, Kyle turned his attention to the diplomatic mission. "Dr. Elva, status report," he commanded, his voice taut with tension. Dr. Elva's face appeared on the main screen, her expression a mix of concern and perseverance. "We're approaching the designated meeting point, sir, but something's wrong. The Void Titan command ship, it's gone." Kyle leaned forward, his brow furrowing. "Gone? Explain." "One moment it was there, the next, nothing. Our sensors can't detect it. It's as if it vanished into thin air." "A cloaking device," Kyle muttered, his mind racing. "Be on high alert, Doctor. This could be a trap." As the diplomatic team proceeded with caution, Kyle shifted his focus to the strike teams. He opened a channel to Captain Elena Volkov. "Volkov, what's your status on Titan?" Static crackled before Volkov's voice came through, distorted by interference. "Heavy resistance, sir. Visibility is near zero. We're relying on advanced sensors to navigate, but that's not all. We've encountered a Void Titan outpost near the node location." Kyle's teeth gritted. "They knew about the nodes. Proceed with extreme caution, Captain." He switched channels. "Blackwood, how's Venus?" John's voice came through, strained and breathless. "It's a hellscape, Kyle. The heat, the pressure, it's pushing our gear to the limit. We're using artifact-enhanced drills to reach the node, but progress is slow. The planet seems to be fighting us every step of the way." "Keep at it, John. We need that node." Kyle turned to Admiral Zexarn's holographic projection. "Admiral, any word from Kazavor's team on Pluto?" Zexarn's tentacles writhed with agitation. "They've made landfall, but the situation is unexpected. The Void Titans have terraformed the surface. Kazavor reports a landscape of crystalline structures, unlike anything we've encountered before." Before Kyle could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. "Sir, energy readings from the Kuiper belt have reached critical levels. It's the superweapon, and it's aimed at us." Kyle's mind raced, weighing options in split seconds. "Activate Project Pandora's secondary phase. Now!" Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright sprang into action, their fingers flying over holographic interfaces. The room hummed with energy as the quantum singularity expanded, spawning a network of smaller singularities throughout the solar system. "Protective web is online," Dr. Kane reported. If our calculations are correct, it should absorb and redirect the electromagnetic pulse. General Armstrong approached Kyle, his ancient eyes filled with grim grit. Foster, there's something you need to know about the failsafe system. Once activated, it will create a dimensional rift. It could banish the Void Titans from our reality, but the consequences, they're unpredictable and irreversible. Kyle nodded, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. Understood, General. We'll keep that as our last resort. Sarah's voice interrupted again. Sir, Marcus's brainwave patterns, they've fully synchronized with the artifact network. It's as if he's become a part of it. Kyle stared at the monitors displaying Marcus's neural activity. The implications were staggering. Can he communicate with us? Not in the traditional sense, Sarah replied, but his consciousness seems to be spread across the entire system. He might be able to influence events on a scale we can't even comprehend. Admiral Zexarn's hologram flickered urgently. Foster, we're detecting anomalous energy readings near Neptune's orbit. It appears to be a hidden Void Titan staging area. They could be preparing for a final assault. Kyle's mind raced through potential strategies. Deploy the time dilation devices. Target the staging area. We need to slow them down. As the Coalition fleet moved into position, Kyle received an incoming transmission from Dr. Elva. Sir, we've made contact with a group of Void Titan dissidents, she reported, her voice hushed. They're led by someone named Zirleth. They're offering intelligence on Zarketh's plans and the superweapon. Kyle's eyes narrowed. Proceed with caution, Doctor. But if their information checks out, it could be the break we need. He turned back to the command center, his voice ringing with authority. All teams, this is it. Secure those nodes. Be ready to activate the failsafe if necessary. And someone get me a direct link to Marcus. If he can influence the artifact network, we need his help now more than ever. As the Coalition forces braced for what could be the final confrontation, Kyle Foster stood at the center of the storm, coordinating the multi-pronged assault that would determine the fate of the solar system. The next few hours would decide everything, and he was determined to see humanity through to victory, no matter the consequences. Cost. As Kyle steeled himself for the challenges ahead, an urgent transmission from Dr. Elva's diplomatic mission flashed across the main screen. Sir, we've uncovered critical intelligence, Dr. Elva reported, her voice tight with urgency. The Void Titan dissidents led by Zirleth have revealed Zarketh's true intentions. The ceasefire was a ruse to buy time for their superweapon, codenamed Starbreaker. Kyle's teeth clenched as he processed the information. Withdraw immediately, Doctor. Get your team to safety. Without hesitation, he opened a channel to all Coalition forces. This is Foster. The ceasefire is null. I repeat, the ceasefire is null. Prepare for immediate engagement. Kyle turned to Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright. Activate the time dilation weapon. Target the Void Titan staging area near Neptune. The two scientists worked in tandem, their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. A low hum filled the command center as the weapon powered up. Firing now, Dr. Kane announced. On the main display, a shimmering field expanded around Neptune, enveloping the hidden Void Titan fleet. The ships seemed to freeze in place, their movements slowing to a crawl. Time dilation successful, Dr. Wright confirmed. We've bought ourselves some time, but it won't hold them forever. Kyle nodded, his mind racing through the next steps. He opened a channel to Captain Volkov on Titan. Volkov, what's your status? Static crackled before her voice came through, punctuated by the sound of weapons fire. We've breached the outpost defenses, sir. I'm leading a squad to secure the control node now. The feed switched to Volkov's helmet cam. Kyle watched as she and her team moved through alien corridors, engaging Void Titan forces in close-quarters combat. Their artifact-enhanced weapons tore through the enemy's advanced armor. We're at the node, Volkov reported, her breath heavy. Beginning activation sequence now. Kyle switched channels. Blackwood, how's Venus? We've hit a snag, Kyle, John's strained voice replied. Drilling equipment's fried, but we've got a plan. The feed showed Blackwood's team working feverishly, combining salvaged Void Titan tech with their artifact-enhanced tools. It's not pretty, but it'll get the job done, Blackwood said as they resumed their descent into Venus's hellish depths. Kazavor, report on Pluto, Kyle commanded. The Trill officer's voice came through, tinged with awe and concern. The terraforming has exposed the node, Foster, but we've triggered some kind of security system. Nanobots are tearing apart our equipment. Kyle watched as swarms of microscopic machines swarmed over the team's vehicles and gear, breaking them down at the molecular level. Find a way through, Kazavor. We need that node. In the command center, alarms blared as new data flooded in. Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. Sir, the Martian artifact installation is destabilizing. If it goes critical, we'll lose Mars and possibly the entire network. Kyle's mind raced through options. Dispatch our top specialist to Mars. We need that installation stabilized. He turned to General Armstrong, who was working at a console nearby. General, status on the failsafe? Armstrong looked up, his ancient eyes filled with unyielding commitment. Nearly ready, Foster, but we'll need Rodriguez to guide it. His connection to the network is the key. As if on cue, Sarah reported, Marcus's neural patterns are stabilizing. We might be able to establish communication soon. Admiral Zexarn's hologram flickered to life. Foster, we've detected the Starbreaker powering up in the Kuiper Belt. I'm moving the fleet to defensive positions and sending a strike team to attempt sabotage. Kyle nodded, then addressed the command center. This is it, people. Every second counts. We hold the line here, or humanity falls. As the coalition forces braced for the Void Titan assault, a new transmission came through. The stern face of the Galactic Council representative appeared on screen. Mr. Foster, we're prepared to summon our peacekeeping fleet to intervene, the alien diplomat stated. However, this action will come with strict conditions regarding Earth's future use of artifact technology and its role in galactic affairs. Kyle stared at the screen, weighing the offer against the chaos unfolding across the solar system. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the next few moments would determine the course of history. History. Kyle's fingers hovered over the console, his mind racing through the potential consequences of each choice. But there was no time for hesitation. Negative, Kyle responded to the Galactic Council representative. We appreciate the offer, but Earth will stand on its own. As the transmission cut off, Kyle turned to his team. Activate the time dilation fields around Neptune. Now. Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright sprang into action, their hands flying over the holographic controls. The command center hummed with energy as the weapon powered up. On the main display, a shimmering field expanded around Neptune, enveloping the hidden Void Titan fleet. The ship slowed to a crawl, trapped in a temporal bubble. Time dilation successful, Dr. Wright confirmed. Void Titan fleet contained for now. Kyle nodded, then opened a channel to Captain Volkov on Titan. Volkov? Status report. The feed crackled to life, showing Volkov's team moving through alien corridors. We've breached the outpost defenses, sir. Approaching the control node now. Kyle watched as Volkov's squad engaged Void Titan forces in close quarters combat. Their artifact-enhanced weapons tore through the enemy's advanced armor with surprising efficiency. We're at the node, Volkov reported, her breath heavy. Beginning activation sequence. As Volkov's team worked, a massive energy pulse suddenly erupted from the device. The shockwave rippled across the screen, causing static to momentarily disrupt the feed. Volkov, report, Kyle demanded. The captain's voice came through, tinged with awe. Sir, you won't believe this. The pulse, it's created some kind of disruption field. Void Titan tech within Saturn's orbit is going haywire. Kyle's eyes widened. This unexpected development could turn the tide in their favor. Excellent work, Captain. Secure the node and stand by for further orders. Switching channels, Kyle contacted John Blackwood on Venus. Blackwood, what's your status? We're making progress, Kyle, John replied, his voice strained against the backdrop of grinding machinery. Our jury-rigged drill is holding up. We're almost there. The feed showed Blackwood's team working feverishly in the hellish Venusian environment. Sweat poured down their faces inside their protective suits as they pushed their equipment to the limit. Suddenly, John's voice rose with excitement. "We've breached the chamber. I can see the node." As Blackwood's team activated the Venusian node, the planet's atmosphere began to shift before their eyes. A protective barrier formed, shimmering with otherworldly energy. "Kyle, you seeing this?" John asked, his voice filled with wonder. "Venus is transforming. It's becoming a shield." Kyle allowed himself a moment of hope before turning his attention to Pluto. "Kazavor, report!" The Trill officer's voice came through, tinged with frustration. "The nanobots are relentless, Foster. We can't get near the node without our equipment being torn apart." Kyle's mind raced, searching for a solution. "What about the Void Titan tech we salvaged? Can you repurpose any of it?" There was a pause, then Kazavor's voice returned with renewed energy. "An electromagnetic pulse. Yes, that might work. Give us a few minutes." As Kyle waited for updates, alarms blared throughout the command center. Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. "Sir, the Starbreaker is powering up in the Kuiper Belt." Kyle's lips pursed. "Dr. Kane, Dr. Wright, status on Project Pandora?" "Quantum Singularity Network is expanding as we speak," Dr. Kane reported. "We're almost there." Kyle turned to General Armstrong. "General, prepare the failsafe. We may need to activate it sooner than we thought." Armstrong nodded grimly. "Understood, but we'll need Rodriguez to guide it. His connection to the network is crucial." As if on cue, Sarah reported, "Marcus's neural patterns are stabilizing. We might be able to establish communication soon." Kyle took a deep breath, steeling himself for what came next. He opened a channel to Admiral Zexarn. "Admiral, form a strike team. Target the Starbreaker. Use the intelligence from Zirleth's dissidents to find its weak points." "Understood, Foster," Zexarn replied. "We'll hit them with everything we've got." As the pieces of their desperate plan fell into place, Kyle looked out at the sea of determined faces in the command center. Each person knew the stakes, understood the monumental task before them. There was no need for rousing speeches or dramatic declarations. They were humanity's last line of defense, and failure was not an option. Kyle's voice rang out, clear and resolute. "This is it. Every action counts. We hold the line here not just for Earth, but for the entire solar system." As the coalition forces braced for the Void Titan's final assault, the artifact network hummed with ancient power, ready to unleash its full potential. The next few moments would determine the fate of humanity and its place in the cosmos. Kyle's decision made, he turned his attention back to the battle unfolding across the solar system. The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as he began issuing rapid-fire orders. "Initiate the artifact network's failsafe system," Kyle commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos, "and get me a direct link to Marcus Rodriguez." As the failsafe protocols engaged, a low hum reverberated through the command center. Holographic displays flickered and shifted, showing the growing energy buildup across the network of artifact installations. Sarah's voice cut through the din. "Sir, Marcus is online. Neural patterns stable and fully integrated with the network." Kyle nodded, his eyes fixed on the main display. "Marcus, can you hear me?" "Loud and clear, Kyle," Marcus responded, his voice ethereal and distant. "I can feel the network. It's incredible, the power flowing through it." "Focus, Marcus," Kyle urged. "We need you to channel that energy. Direct it toward the coordinates I'm sending now." As Marcus began to guide the immense energies of the artifact network, a small tear in space appeared near the orbit of Mars. The rift shimmered and pulsed, slowly expanding outward. Alarms blared as new data flooded in. Admiral Zexarn's hologram materialized, his expression grim. "Foster, the Void Titan fleet has broken through our outer defenses. They're approaching Earth at attack speed." Kyle's lips pursed. "Understood, Admiral. Engage with everything we've got." The space between Earth and Mars erupted into a massive battle. Energy weapons and missiles crisscrossed the void, creating a deadly light show visible even from the command center's displays. "Sir," Sarah reported, "the Galactic Council peacekeeping fleet has arrived. They're moving to engage the leading edge of the Void Titan armada." Kyle watched as the Council's ships, sleek and impossibly advanced, joined the fray. Their weapons tore through the Void Titan vessels with terrifying efficiency, but the sheer number of enemy ships threatened to overwhelm even their formidable defenses. A transmission from Venus cut through the chaos. John Blackwood's face appeared on screen, his expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Kyle, we've done it! The control node is active!" As Blackwood spoke, the newly formed atmospheric barrier around Venus began to pulse with energy. Waves of disruptive force spread outward, causing Void Titan ships to lose power and drift helplessly in space. "Excellent work, John," Kyle replied. "Keep that barrier active at all costs." Switching channels, Kyle addressed Captain Volkov on Titan. "Elena, what's your status?" "We've secured the control node, sir," Volkov responded, her voice tight with concentration. "But we've got a new development. We've managed to commandeer a disabled Void Titan ship." Kyle's eyebrows shot up. "Can you get it operational?" "Already on it," Volkov replied. "We're using our knowledge of the hybrid tech to reactivate its systems. Weapons coming online now." On the main display, Kyle watched as the captured Void Titan vessel suddenly sprang to life, its weapons turning on its former allies. The unexpected tactics sowed confusion in the enemy ranks, leading to several instances of friendly fire that further thinned their numbers. A triumphant shout from Dr. Kane drew Kyle's attention. "Foster, Project Pandora is fully operational. The quantum singularity network is expanding rapidly." Kyle nodded, a grim smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Activate it. Let's see how the Void Titans handle a little gravitational chaos." As the micro-singularities began to expand throughout the battlefield, Kyle received an urgent communication from Admiral Zexarn. "Foster, my strike team has successfully crippled the Starbreaker. We're regrouping for a flanking attack on their main fleet." "Understood, Admiral," Kyle replied. "Target their command and control ships. Use the intelligence from Zirleth's dissidents to identify key vessels." The battle raged on, with coalition forces slowly gaining the upper hand. The dimensional rift continued to grow, now spanning a vast area of space between Earth and Jupiter. Void Titan ships caught in its edge began to distort and fragment, parts of them seeming to exist in multiple realities at once. Suddenly, an urgent transmission came through from the Pluto team. Kazavor's face appeared on screen, his eyes wide with astonishment. "Foster, you're not going to believe this. The activation of the Pluto control node has revealed something big. There's a massive ancient space station hidden in the Kuiper Belt, and it's powering up." Before Kyle could respond, the newly discovered station emitted a powerful energy pulse that traveled through the solar system. The pulse supercharged the Project Pandora singularity network, causing the micro-singularities to rapidly expand. A complex web of gravitational anomalies spread throughout the battlefield, trapping numerous Void Titan ships and tearing others apart. As the tide of battle turned decisively in their favor, Kyle's attention was drawn to a massive energy signature breaking through the defensive lines. His blood ran cold as he recognized the profile of Void Lord Zarketh's flagship, easily twice the size of any other ship in the battle. "All forces, focus fire on that flagship," Kyle ordered, his voice sharp with urgency. "It's making a run for Earth." The massive Void Titan vessel powered up its main weapon, a planet-killing energy projector that glowed with ominous intent. As it approached Earth, Kyle knew they had only moments to act before it was too late. General Armstrong's voice cut through the tension. "Foster, we've identified a critical vulnerability in Zarketh's flagship. Transmitting data now." Kyle's mind raced as he formulated a plan. He opened a channel to the Galactic Council fleet. "This is Kyle Foster. Concentrate all firepower on the coordinates I'm sending. Hit it with everything you've got." Simultaneously, he addressed Marcus. "Marcus, I need you to focus the artifact network's energy on that same point. Can you do it?" "Already on it, Kyle," Marcus replied, his voice strained with effort. "Channeling now." As Zarketh's flagship approached Earth, its main weapon charging, the combined firepower of the Galactic Council fleet and the artifact network converged on the vessel. The ship's shields buckled under the assault, and its hull began to crack. Moments before the planet-killer weapon could fire, the flagship erupted in a massive explosion, the force magnified by the nearby singularities. The destruction of Zarketh's flagship sent shockwaves through the Void Titan fleet. Many of the remaining enemy ships attempted to retreat, only to find themselves caught between the expanding dimensional rift and the coalition forces. As the battle shifted decisively in Earth's favor, Kyle allowed himself a moment of relief. But he knew the war was just getting started. The fail-safe system's activation, the intervention of the Galactic Council, and the mysterious ancient space station in the Kuiper Belt all presented new challenges and potential threats. Kyle turned to his team, his expression resolute. "We've won this battle, but our work is just beginning. Let's secure our victory and prepare for what comes next." As the massive explosion of Zarketh's flagship faded, Kyle Foster's eyes scanned the tactical displays, taking in the new reality of the battlefield. The Void Titan fleet, once a seemingly unstoppable force, now appeared scattered and disorganized. "All coalition forces, this is Foster." Kyle's voice rang out across the command channels. "The enemy is in disarray. Pursue and eliminate all remaining Void Titan vessels. We cannot allow any to escape and regroup." The response was immediate. Earth's hybrid ships, sleek trill vessels, and the imposing warships of the Galactic Council, peacekeepers, moved in perfect coordination, methodically closing in on the retreating enemy. Sarah Chen's voice cut through the din of the command center. "Sir, we're detecting multiple Void Titan ships attempting to flee towards the outer system." Kyle nodded grimly. "Admiral Zexarn, take your task force and cut them off. Use the quantum singularity network to your advantage." "Understood, Foster," Zexarn replied. The Admiral's fleet surged forward, using the gravitational anomalies created by Project Pandora to outmaneuver the fleeing enemy ships. As the cleanup operation continued, an urgent transmission came through from the Kuiper Belt. Dr. Kane's face appeared on the main screen, his eyes wide with excitement. "Foster, the ancient space station, it's fully interfacing with the artifact network. The energy output is off the charts." Kyle's mind raced with the implications. "Dr. Kane, I need you to assemble a team immediately. We need to investigate that station." "Already on it," Kane replied. "I'm sending Dr. Elva and our top specialists. They're boarding a hybrid transport now." As Kyle coordinated the ongoing battle and the expedition to the Kuiper Belt, alarms blared throughout the command center. General Armstrong's voice cut through the chaos. "Foster, we have a situation. The dimensional rift is expanding beyond our projections. If we don't find a way to stabilize it soon, we could be looking at catastrophic damage to the entire solar system." Kyle's eyes sharp. He opened a channel to Venus. "John, I need you and your team back on Earth immediately. We need to access the primary control node and find a way to contain this rift." "Copy that, Kyle," Blackwood responded. "We're on our way." Turning his attention back to the battle, Kyle noticed a bold maneuver unfolding on the tactical display. Captain Volkov, at the helm of the captured Void Titan ship, was pushing towards the edge of the dimensional rift. "Volkov, report. What's your status?" Kyle demanded. Elena's voice crackled through the comm system. "We're approaching the rift now, sir. Sensors are picking up incredible spatial distortions. We're seeing, it's hard to describe, pockets of what appear to be alternate realities." "Be careful, Captain," Kyle warned. "Gather what data you can, but don't take any unnecessary risks." As Volkov's team ventured deeper into the rift, Kyle received an urgent message from Sarah Chen. "Sir, Marcus's vital signs are becoming erratic. His prolonged connection to the network is putting immense strain on his system." Kyle's heart sank. He turned to General Armstrong. "We need to find a way to disconnect him safely and fast. Work with Sarah and the medical team. If we lose Marcus, we could lose control of the entire network." As the general hurried off, Kyle noticed a flurry of activity from the Galactic Council representatives. Admiral Zexarn's hologram materialized once more. "Foster, the Council is demanding access to the artifact network and the ancient technology we've discovered," Zexarn reported, his tone cautious. "They're citing it as a condition for their continued support." Kyle's mind raced, weighing the political implications. Before he could respond, another alarm sounded. A junior officer called out, "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting a massive energy surge from the direction of Alpha Centauri." The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Kyle leaned forward, studying the incoming data. Analysis? Dr. Wright's voice came through, tense with excitement and apprehension. The energy signature. It's consistent with the activation of another artifact network, sir, potentially as powerful as our own. Kyle stood still for a moment, the weight of this new development settling on his shoulders. He took a deep breath, then began issuing orders with restored dedication. Admiral Zexarn, continue the cleanup operation. I want every last Void Titan ship accounted for. Dr. Kane, expedite the Kuiper Belt expedition. We need answers about that ancient station now. He turned to face the command center staff. Prepare our most advanced ship for immediate launch. We're sending an expedition to Alpha Centauri. Captain Volkov will lead the mission once she returns from the rift. As the command center erupted into a flurry of activity, Kyle Foster gazed out at the vast expanse of space, visible through the center's reinforced windows. The battle for Earth had been won, but he knew that this was only the beginning. The discovery of another artifact network in Alpha Centauri had opened up a new frontier of possibilities and potential threats. The solar system was on the brink of a new era, and humanity's place in the galactic community hung in the balance. As Kyle watched the ongoing cleanup operation and the preparations for the Alpha Centauri mission, he couldn't help but wonder what challenges and discoveries lay ahead in the vast, unexplored reaches of space. Space. As Kyle contemplated the challenges ahead, the command center's atmosphere shifted from frantic battle coordination to focused grit. The following weeks saw a flurry of activity across the solar system. Earth's hybrid ships, working in tandem with Trill vessels and Galactic Council peacekeepers, methodically tracked down and neutralized the remaining Void Titan forces. Admiral Zexarn's task force proved particularly effective, using the quantum singularity network to outmaneuver and trap fleeing enemy ships. Meanwhile, Dr. Kane's expedition to the ancient space station in the Kuiper Belt yielded astonishing results. Dr. Elva and her team of specialists worked tirelessly, sifting through the vast database they discovered. Each day brought new revelations about the extent of the ancient human civilization's reach. Kyle, you need to see this, Dr. Elva's excited voice came through the comm channel one morning. She transmitted a holographic display of star charts and schematics. We found evidence of human presence in hundreds of star systems. And look at this, advanced terraforming technology. The implications are staggering. Kyle studied the data, his mind racing with possibilities. Excellent work, Dr. Elva. Keep digging. We need to understand everything we can about our ancestors' capabilities. As the expedition continued its work, Kyle turned his attention to a more pressing matter. The dimensional rift, still expanding beyond initial projections, posed a significant threat to the entire solar system. He opened a channel to Venus. John, what's your status? We need to contain this rift before it destabilizes the entire system. John Blackwood's face appeared on the screen, his expression a mix of exhaustion and tenacity. We're close, Kyle. My team has been working around the clock, calibrating the primary control nodes. We think we've found a way to halt the expansion. Over the next few days, Kyle watched anxiously as Blackwood's team implemented their solution. Slowly but surely, the rift's growth slowed, then stopped entirely. A cheer went up in the command center as Blackwood's voice came through. We've done it, Kyle. The rift is stable. We can't close it completely without risking a catastrophic energy release, but we've created a containment field around it. It's now a stable bubble that we can study and potentially use in the future. As Earth's immediate surroundings stabilized, Kyle's attention turned to the mysterious energy surge detected from Alpha Centauri. The implications of another artifact network, potentially as powerful as Earth's own, were too significant to ignore. Captain Volkov, Kyle addressed the newly promoted officer, I want you to lead an expedition to Alpha Centauri. We need to investigate the source of that energy surge and establish contact if possible. Elena Volkov's hologram nodded sharply. Understood, sir. What resources will I have at my disposal? Kyle smiled. You'll be commanding our most advanced ship, Captain. The ESS Pathfinder is being outfitted at the lunar shipyards as we speak. It's a hybrid of human, Trill, and salvaged Void Titan technology. You'll have faster-than-light capabilities, and the most advanced defensive and scientific systems we can provide. As preparations for the Pathfinder's mission continued, Kyle faced mounting pressure from various factions on Earth. The public demanded answers about the recent conflict and the sudden leap in technological capabilities. The Galactic Council, eager to gain access to the artifact network and ancient technology, pushed for a formal alliance with Earth. After careful consideration and consultation with his advisors, Kyle implemented a controlled disclosure plan. He authorized the release of limited information about the Void Titan conflict and Earth's technological advancements, aiming to prepare humanity for its new role in the galactic community without causing widespread panic. The diplomatic dance with the Galactic Council proved more challenging. Their offers of knowledge sharing and protection came with demands for oversight of Earth's technological development, raising concerns about maintaining sovereignty. Admiral Zexarn, proving to be a valuable ally, proposed a compromise. A joint Earth-Trill Council task force, he suggested during a high-level meeting. It would oversee the study and implementation of artifact technology, satisfying the Council's desire for involvement while ensuring Earth retains significant control. As Kyle navigated these complex negotiations, he received an urgent message from the medical team overseeing Marcus Rodriguez's recovery. Sarah Chen's hologram appeared, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "We've stabilized Marcus's condition," she reported. "General Armstrong and I developed a method to gradually reduce his integration with the artifact network. He's regaining his individual consciousness, but he's retained fragments of knowledge about the network's capabilities. He could be an invaluable asset moving forward." Kyle nodded, relieved. "Excellent work, Sarah. Keep me updated on his progress." As the solar system settled into an uneasy peace, the ESS Pathfinder completed its final systems checks. Admiral Volkov assembled her crew, a diverse group of Earth's most brilliant scientists and seasoned space explorers. The ship's mission was clear: investigate the Alpha Centauri energy surge, establish contact with any sentient life forms, and gather data on the extent of the artifact network beyond the solar system. Just as the Pathfinder prepared for departure, alarms blared throughout the command center. A junior officer called out, "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting multiple unidentified objects entering the outer solar system." Kyle's blood ran cold as he studied the incoming data. The objects moved at incredible speeds, their design unlike anything in Earth's database. He immediately ordered the solar system's defenses to high alert, fearing a new, unknown threat. As the objects slowed near Neptune's orbit, their true nature became apparent. Sleek biomechanical ships of unfamiliar design took up positions around the ice giant. Suddenly, a transmission cut through all communication channels, using a language that took Earth's most advanced AI systems several minutes to decipher. The message, once translated, sent shockwaves through the command center. "Children of Earth, your ascension has been noted. The progenitors have returned." Kyle's mind raced as he processed this new development. He quickly issued a series of orders, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Delay the Pathfinder's departure. Admiral Volkov, I want you to rendezvous with these newcomers instead. All defense grids, stand by. Be ready to repel an attack, but do not engage unless fired upon." As the biomechanical ships held their position around Neptune, Kyle called an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders, Galactic Council representatives, and Trill allies. The solar system once again found itself at a crossroads, with the arrival of these self-proclaimed progenitors promising to reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Kyle stood at the head of the conference table, his expression grave as he addressed the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face a situation unlike any we've encountered before. Our response in the coming hours could well determine the future of our species and our place in the galaxy. Let's consider our options carefully." As the discussion began in earnest, Kyle couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of an even greater adventure, or perhaps an even greater threat than anything they had faced before. As Kyle contemplated the gravity of the situation, alarms blared throughout the command center, jolting him back to the present. A junior officer's voice cut through the chaos. "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting multiple unidentified objects entering the outer solar system." Kyle's muscles tensed as he studied the incoming data. The objects moved at incredible speeds, their design unlike anything in Earth's database. He immediately ordered the solar system's defenses to high alert, fearing a new, unknown threat. As the objects decelerated near Neptune's orbit, their true nature became apparent. Sleek biomechanical ships of unfamiliar design took up positions around the ice giant. Suddenly, a transmission cut through all communication channels, using a language that took Earth's most advanced AI systems several minutes to decipher. The message, once translated, sent shockwaves through the command center. Children of Earth, your ascension has been noted. The progenitors have returned. Kyle's mind raced as he processed this new development. He quickly issued a series of orders, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Delay the Pathfinder's departure. Admiral Volkov, I want you to rendezvous with these newcomers instead. All defense grids, stand by. Be ready to repel an attack, but do not engage unless fired upon. As the biomechanical ships held their position around Neptune, Kyle called an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders, Galactic Council representatives, and Trill allies. The solar system once again found itself at a crossroads with the arrival of these self-proclaimed progenitors, promising to reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. In the hours that followed, Kyle enacted a series of strategic measures to address the new situation. He ordered the ESS Pathfinder to alter its course, directing it to approach the progenitor fleet cautiously. Admiral Elena Volkov's voice crackled over the comm channel. Understood, sir. Initiating long-range scans now. Kyle turned to his assembled team. John, I need you back from the Rift Containment Project. We need your expertise here. John Blackwood nodded, already pulling up defensive schematics on his tablet. Dr. Elva, Kyle continued, opening a channel to the Kuiper Belt station. Search the ancient database for any information related to the progenitors or similar advanced civilizations. On it, Kyle, Dr. Elva's voice responded, her excitement palpable even through the comm link. Suddenly, Sarah Chen's hologram materialized, her expression urgent. Kyle, it's Marcus. He's experiencing a sudden surge of information related to the progenitors. We've had to place him in a medical stasis pod for monitoring. Kyle's brow furrowed. Keep me updated on his condition, Sarah. His connection to the artifact network could be crucial. Admiral Zexarn approached, his tentacles writhing with nervous energy. Foster, I've begun coordinating with your military to deploy a defensive perimeter around the inner solar system. We're positioning a mix of Trill, human, and hybrid vessels at strategic points. As Kyle nodded his approval, he noticed the Galactic Council representatives huddled in a corner, their faces etched with concern. One of them approached, her voice tinged with frustration. We've attempted to establish independent communication with the progenitors, but they remain silent. Kyle's response was cut short as Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright burst into the room. We've adapted the quantum singularity network, Dr. Kane announced breathlessly. We're creating a system-wide early warning grid to track the progenitor ships in real time. As the command center buzzed with activity, a new alert sounded. Admiral Volkov's face appeared on the main screen, her expression tense. Sir, we've reached Neptune's orbit. One of the progenitor vessels has detached from the main group and is moving to intercept us. Kyle leaned forward, studying the video feed from the Pathfinder. The approaching progenitor ship was a marvel of engineering, its design incorporating elements reminiscent of both the artifact network technology and Void Titan biomechanical engineering. Before Kyle could respond, Dr. Elva's excited voice filled the room. Kyle, we've made a breakthrough. We've uncovered references to a civilization known as the Cedars in the ancient database. They match the description and capabilities of the progenitors. The data suggests they were responsible for spreading early human life across multiple star systems, including Earth and potentially the Void Titan homeworld. As Kyle processed this information, a series of alarms blared throughout the command center. A technician called out, Sir, we're experiencing a cascading failure in the primary control nodes. The defensive grid is going down. Kyle's mind raced. It's the influx of information from Marcus. Initiate an immediate system-wide reboot. We'll be vulnerable, but it's our only option. As Earth's defenses flickered offline, three smaller progenitor vessels broke formation, accelerating towards Earth at incredible speeds. The coalition fleet scrambled to intercept, but the advanced propulsion systems of the progenitor ships allowed them to easily outmaneuver the defenders. Kyle watched, heart pounding, as the progenitor vessels approached Earth's atmosphere. To his surprise, they suddenly decelerated and entered a holding pattern in low orbit. A new transmission broadcast planet-wide, this time in perfect English. "Children of Earth, prepare to receive your makers. The time of reckoning is at hand." As reports of worldwide reactions flooded in, Kyle knew he had to act fast to prevent panic. He quickly authorized the release of a carefully crafted public statement, calling for calm and acknowledging the situation. Amidst the chaos, Admiral Volkov's voice cut through. "Sir, we're receiving a direct communication request from the intercepting progenitor ship, but our sensors are detecting a massive energy buildup within their vessel. The signature matches that of the artifact network." Kyle took a deep breath, his mind racing with possibilities and potential consequences. As he prepared to respond, he knew that the next few moments could shape the future of humanity and its place in the galaxy. Galaxy. Kyle's fingers hovered over the communication panel, his mind racing through countless scenarios. Before he could respond to Admiral Volkov, the command center erupted into a flurry of activity. "Sir," a technician called out, "we're detecting a massive energy surge from the progenitor vessels." Kyle's eyes widened as he watched the holographic display. The three progenitor ships in Earth's orbit began emitting a pulsating blue light, their sleek forms now crackling with awe-inspiring power. "Initiate emergency protocols," Kyle ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Activate the backup defense grid immediately." As alarms blared throughout the facility, John Blackwood's team sprang into action. Their fingers flew across control panels, bypassing the compromised primary nodes and bringing the secondary defense system online. A shimmering, translucent field flickered to life around key Earth installations, providing a thin but crucial layer of protection. Kyle turned his attention back to the main view screen, where Admiral Volkov's face was etched with tension. "Admiral, accept the communication request. Let's hear what they have to say." The bridge of the ESS Pathfinder materialized on the screen, and Kyle watched as a new figure appeared before Volkov and her crew. The being was tall and otherworldly, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Its elongated limbs moved with an unsettling grace as it addressed the humans. "I am Zalthuran, emissary of the Progenitor Council," the being announced, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "We have returned to evaluate humanity's progress and determine Earth's readiness for full integration into the galactic community." Kyle listened intently as Zalthuran explained the purpose of their visit. The energy buildup they had detected was not a weapon, but a sophisticated scanning beam designed to assess Earth's technological advancement since the progenitors' last visit millennia ago. As the implications of this revelation sank in, Kyle's comm unit buzzed urgently. Sarah Chen's hologram appeared, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Kyle, Marcus is awake. He's demanding to speak with you immediately. He says he has crucial information about the progenitors' true intentions." Kyle nodded, his mind racing. "Patch him through to my private channel, Sarah. I'll speak with him as soon as I can." Before Kyle could process this new development, another alert sounded. Dr. Elva's face appeared on a secondary screen, her eyes wide with excitement. "Kyle, we've made a breakthrough. We've found evidence in the ancient database suggesting the progenitors have conducted similar evaluations on other worlds. But there's more. These evaluations often resulted in complete restructuring of the evaluated civilizations." Kyle's blood ran cold at this revelation. He opened a secure channel to John Blackwood. "John, I need you to work on modifying our defensive systems. Focus on developing countermeasures against their scanning capabilities. We need to protect our sensitive information." As John acknowledged the order, Kyle watched the holographic display with growing unease. The three progenitor vessels in low Earth orbit began a series of precise maneuvers, positioning themselves over major population centers. Smaller drone-like devices deployed from the ships, descending into the atmosphere and easily bypassing Earth's weakened defenses. "Sir," a technician reported, The drones are collecting data on our society, infrastructure, and technology. They're everywhere. Kyle's mind raced as he weighed his options. The information Marcus claimed to have could be crucial, but he couldn't afford to leave his post at this critical moment. Making a split-second decision, Kyle activated the hidden protocol within the artifact network, a failsafe he had hoped never to use. Across the planet, buried artifact nodes hummed to life, generating a low-frequency energy field that interfered with the progenitor's scanning technology. The drone's movements became erratic, their data collection disrupted by the unexpected interference. "Admiral Zexarn," Kyle called out, opening a channel to the Trill commander. "I need you to mobilize our combined fleet. Position ships at strategic points throughout the solar system. We need to be ready to intercept any additional progenitor vessels." As Zexarn acknowledged the order, Kyle turned to Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright. "I need you two to work on a new defense system. Use your experience with Project Pandora. See if you can create localized space-time distortions around Earth using the quantum singularity network. It might be our best shot at shielding the planet from progenitor interference." The scientists nodded, immediately diving into their work. Kyle took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. He was about to address his team when a Galactic Council representative approached, her expression grave. "Mr. Foster," she began, her voice low, "we've received a communication from our superiors. The Council is offering to send a substantial peacekeeping force to the solar system." Kyle's eyes narrowed. "What's the catch?" The representative hesitated before continuing. "Earth would need to formally align itself with the Galactic Council and submit to their authority." Before Kyle could respond, another alarm blared. A technician called out, panic evident in his voice. "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting a new anomaly near Pluto's orbit. It's a massive energy signature, distinct from both progenitor and known artifact technology." Kyle's mind raced as he processed this new threat. He quickly opened a channel to Earth's highest-ranking military and scientific leaders. "Emergency meeting now. I have a plan, but I'm going to need everyone's full cooperation." As the leaders began to assemble, Kyle stared at the holographic display showing the solar system. The progenitor ships loomed over Earth. The combined fleet stood ready for action, and now an unknown anomaly threatened to upend everything. He took a deep breath, knowing that the next few hours would determine the fate of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. Galaxy. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Kyle's shoulders as he surveyed the command center, his mind racing with the gravity of the situation. "Initiate Operation Quantum Shield," Kyle ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "John, activate the hidden network." John Blackwood nodded grimly, his fingers flying across the control panel. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, a network of quantum relays hummed to life, their energy spreading like an invisible web across the planet. The air seemed to shimmer for a moment as the complex energy field enveloped the Earth, interfering with the progenitor's scanning drones. Simultaneously, a series of high-altitude satellites deployed, their jamming technology creating an electromagnetic bubble around the planet. On the holographic display, Kyle watched as the swarm of progenitor drones began to falter, their movements becoming erratic. "Sir," a technician called out, "the progenitor vessels are changing tactics. They're deploying something else." Kyle leaned forward, studying the display intently. Thousands of tiny specks were descending from the progenitor ships, barely visible even on the high-resolution screens. "Nanobots," Dr. Kane breathed, her eyes wide. "They're trying to bypass our defenses." Without hesitation, Kyle turned to Dr. Kane and Dr. Wright. "Activate the quantum singularity network. Create those localized space-time distortions we discussed." The two scientists sprang into action, their hands a blur over the complex controls. Within moments, pinpricks of light began to appear in the atmosphere, tiny rifts in the fabric of space-time. The nanobots, caught in these distortions, vanished from the sensors. "It's working," Dr. Wright reported, a hint of amazement in his voice. "We're neutralizing the majority of the nanobots." Kyle allowed himself a moment of relief before turning his attention to the next phase of the plan. He opened a secure channel to Marcus Rodriguez, who was now working with a team of scientists in a separate facility. Marcus, what's your status? Marcus's face appeared on the screen, his expression intense. We're ready, Kyle. The lunar installations are powering up now. Kyle watched as dormant defense systems on the moon flickered to life, remnants of an ancient human civilization that had once spread across the stars. A powerful signal burst forth from the lunar surface, disrupting the progenitor's communication systems. Admiral Volkov's voice crackled over the comm. Foster, we're detecting the disruption. Initiating micro-jump sequence now. On the main view screen, Kyle watched as the ESS Pathfinder blinked in and out of existence, appearing at different points around the progenitor fleet. At each location, small stealth probes detached from the ship, latching onto the hulls of the alien vessels. Probes deployed successfully, Volkov reported, were gathering data on their technology and potential weaknesses. As Kyle processed this information, a Galactic Council representative approached, her expression a mix of awe and respect. Mr. Foster, she began, the Council has revised its offer. They're proposing a mutual defense pact, recognizing Earth as an equal partner in galactic affairs. Kyle nodded, his mind already racing ahead to the next challenge. Thank you. We'll discuss the details later. Right now, we need to focus on the immediate threat. He turned to Admiral Zexarn, who was coordinating the combined Trill-human fleet. Admiral, what's the status of our defensive formation? Zexarn's tentacles writhed with nervous energy as he responded. The fleet is in position, Foster. We've created an impenetrable barrier around Earth and its colonies, but we're detecting a massive energy surge from the progenitor ships near Neptune. Kyle's eyes narrowed. They're preparing to attack. John, how are we doing on those countermeasures? John Blackwood looked up from his console, his face grim but determined. We're making progress, sir. The planetary defense grid is being modified to harness the power of the micro-wormholes. If this works, we might be able to redirect their energy attacks back at them. As Kyle absorbed this information, another alarm blared through the command center. Dr. Elva's face appeared on a secondary screen, her eyes wide with excitement and fear. Kyle, the energy signature near Pluto, it's stabilized into an artificial wormhole. It's massive, unlike anything we've ever seen before. Kyle's mind raced with the implications. He made a split-second decision, knowing the risks but seeing no other choice. Reactivate Project Pandora, he ordered, his voice firm. Dr. Kane, Dr. Wright, expand the quantum singularity network to encompass the entire solar system. We need to be ready for whatever comes through that wormhole. As the scientists rushed to comply, the main view screen flickered to life with a system-wide broadcast. The progenitor emissary, Zalthuran, appeared, its iridescent skin shimmering with an otherworldly light. Humanity, the alien being intoned, its voice resonating with power. Your resistance to our evaluation is unprecedented. We are escalating our assessment protocols. The progenitor fleet began to move, their ships forming into an attack pattern. Weapons systems powered up, dwarfing anything seen in the recent conflict with the Void Titans. Kyle took a deep breath, steeling himself for what came next. He input a series of complex codes into his personal command console, activating the artifact network's most powerful and dangerous function. May whatever gods are out there forgive me, he whispered as he pressed the final key. A shockwave of energy rippled through the solar system, causing gravitational fluctuations and electromagnetic storms. The progenitor's targeting systems flickered and faltered, their precise formations disrupted by the fundamental forces of the universe being manipulated on a local scale. As chaos engulfed the solar system, all eyes turned to the massive wormhole near Pluto. The swirling vortex of space-time expanded, and sensors detected a colossal object emerging from its depths. Kyle Foster stood at the center of the command hub, his heart pounding as he faced this new, unknown entity. The solar system hung in the balance, caught between the might of the progenitors and the mysterious force emerging from the wormhole. As alarms blared and data streamed across countless screens, Kyle knew that the next few moments would determine the fate of humanity and its place in the cosmos. Galaxy. As Kyle contemplated the impending crisis, a technician's urgent voice cut through the tension. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting a massive object emerging from the wormhole near Pluto. All eyes in the command center turned to the main view screen. Kyle's breath caught in his throat as he watched the colossal structure materialize. It dwarfed even the largest progenitor vessels, its size rivaling that of Earth-Moon. "What in the name of—" Kyle muttered, leaning forward to study the readings. "Is that a space station?" Dr. Kane's fingers flew across her console. "Affirmative, and it's emitting an energy signature unlike anything we've ever seen. It's interfering with our systems, and the progenitors too." Kyle's mind raced, processing this new development. "Redirect all available resources to analyze that station. I want unmanned probes deployed immediately." As the command center erupted into a flurry of activity, Kyle watched the progenitor fleet's reaction. The alien ships, previously arranged in an attack formation, now broke ranks. Several vessels peeled away, moving to intercept the mysterious station. "They're as surprised as we are," Kyle noted, a glimmer of hope rising in his chest. Suddenly, the space station pulsed with energy. A shimmering field expanded outward, engulfing the approaching progenitor ships. Kyle's eyes widened as he watched the alien vessels go dark, their propulsion systems failing as they drifted aimlessly in space. "It neutralized them without firing a shot," Admiral Zexarn observed, his tentacles writhing with excitement. "Foster, this is our chance." Kyle nodded, his decision made in an instant. "Admiral, you have a go. Advance the fleet and engage the remaining progenitor vessels." Zexarn barked orders, and the combined Trill-human fleet surged forward. On the tactical display, Kyle watched as their ships executed a series of coordinated strikes. The hybrid technology they developed proved devastatingly effective, allowing them to penetrate the progenitors' defenses with surprising ease. "Sir," John Blackwood called out, "the planetary defense grid modifications are complete. We're ready to activate the micro-wormhole network." "Do it," Kyle ordered. John input the final command, and the air around Earth seemed to ripple. A web of microscopic wormholes sprang into existence, forming an invisible shield around the planet. The effect was immediate. A progenitor ship, undeterred by the losses of its comrades, fired its main weapon at Earth. The energy beam lanced towards the planet, only to be caught by one of the micro-wormholes. In a spectacular display, the attack was redirected back at the alien vessel, striking it with its own phenomenal power. "Direct hit!" a technician shouted as the progenitor ship's hull ruptured, secondary explosions blooming along its length. Kyle allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before turning his attention back to the mysterious space station. "Any progress on identifying that structure?" Marcus Rodriguez's face appeared on a secondary screen. "Kyle, I think I've found something. The station's design, it bears similarities to some of the artifacts we've studied. I believe it might be connected to Earth's ancient human civilization." Kyle's eyebrows shot up. "You're saying that's one of ours?" Marcus nodded. "A long-dormant outpost, perhaps. It might have been programmed to activate in response to a specific threat level." Kyle's mind raced with the implications. If they could claim control of the station— "Marcus, keep digging. I want to know everything you can tell me about that outpost." He turned to Admiral Volkov, who had been coordinating fleet movements. "Admiral, I have a critical mission for you and the Pathfinder. We need to investigate that station up close and potentially take control of it." Volkov's eyes gleamed with tenacity. "Understood, sir. We'll plot a course immediately." Kyle watched as the ESS Pathfinder disengaged from the main fleet, its advanced propulsion system allowing it to make a series of rapid jumps across the solar system. The ship deftly evaded the remaining progenitor defenses, closing in on the massive space station. As the Pathfinder approached, Kyle held his breath. The station's defenses had effortlessly neutralized progenitor ships. Would it react the same way to human technology? To his relief, the station remained passive as the Pathfinder drew near. Reports flooded in from Volkov's team as they interfaced with the ancient systems, gaining access to the colossal structure. "Kyle," Dr. Elva's voice came through, tinged with excitement. "We've made a breakthrough in deciphering the progenitors' communication protocols. You're not going to believe this." Kyle listened intently as Dr. Elva explained their discovery. The progenitors weren't a unified force, but a coalition of different factions, each with its own agenda. This information could change everything. A plan began to form in Kyle's mind. He turned to his communications officer. Prepare a broadcast to the progenitor fleet. I want to address each faction separately. As the officer worked to establish the connection, Kyle steeled himself. The next few moments could determine the fate of humanity. He took a deep breath, straightened his uniform, and prepared to make the most important speech of his life. The broadcast indicator blinked green. Kyle Foster, leader of Earth's defense, looked directly into the camera and began to speak, his words carrying across the vastness of space to the fractured progenitor fleet. Fleet, his voice, calm and resolute, carried the weight of humanity's future. Progenitor factions, I address you not as a single entity, but as the diverse coalition you truly are. We've deciphered your communications and understand the complexities of your internal politics. Let us speak plainly. Kyle paused, allowing his words to sink in. He could see the surprise rippling through the progenitor fleet on the tactical displays. We stand ready to negotiate, but from a position of strength. Our defenses have proven formidable, and we've uncovered technologies that rival your own. However, we're not interested in conflict. We propose collaboration. As Kyle continued his address, Dr. Kane's team was already en route to the mysterious space station near Pluto. Their shuttle docked with a soft thud, and the team entered the cavernous structure. Dr. Kane's eyes widened as she took in the alien yet strangely familiar architecture. It's like stepping into a dream, she murmured, running her hand along a smooth, pulsating wall. Let's find the main control center. Back on Earth, John Blackwood worked feverishly to integrate the artifact network's energy convergence with the planetary defense grid. Holographic displays flickered around him, showing the intricate web of energy fields enveloping the planet. Kyle, John called over the comm, the integration is complete. We've got a shield that could withstand a supernova. Kyle nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. Excellent work, John. Keep monitoring and be ready for any surprises. In the depths of the artifact network, Marcus Rodriguez's consciousness floated through streams of data. Suddenly, a series of vivid images flashed before him. Star maps, coordinates, and alien structures scattered across the galaxy. Kyle, Marcus's disembodied voice echoed through the command center. I've found them. Other artifact installations spread throughout the Milky Way. We need to move fast. Kyle immediately turned to his logistics team. Prepare exploration missions to these coordinates. We need to secure these installations before anyone else does. As the command center buzzed with activity, a Galactic Council representative approached Kyle. Mr. Foster, the Council offers to mediate negotiations between Earth and the progenitors. We believe our neutral stance could facilitate a peaceful resolution. Kyle studied the alien diplomat, weighing the offer. We accept your offer of mediation, but understand that Earth's interests are non-negotiable. Admiral Zexarn slithered up to Kyle, his tentacles twitching with excitement. Foster, the temporal anomalies from Project Pandora have stabilized. We've established a network of rapid response points throughout the solar system. Our fleet can be anywhere in moments. Kyle nodded, impressed. Excellent work, Admiral. Maintain our defensive posture, but be ready to strike if necessary. A urgent transmission from the Kuiper Belt space station interrupted their conversation. Dr. Elva's face appeared on screen, her eyes wide with excitement. Kyle, we've cracked it. We've decoded a significant portion of the progenitor's historical database. You're not going to believe this. The progenitors themselves were created by an even more ancient race. Their claims of superiority, they're baseless. Kyle's mind raced with the implications. This information could change everything. He turned back to the broadcast, ready to play his ace. Progenitor factions, we've made a discovery that challenges the very foundation of your beliefs. But rather than use this as leverage, we offer it freely, along with access to the technologies we've uncovered. In exchange, we ask for recognition of humanity's sovereignty and the right to expand beyond our solar system. As Kyle spoke, he signaled to his team to activate the dormant artifact installation on Mars. The device hummed to life, generating a controlled wormhole that connected Mars directly to the space station near Pluto. The progenitor fleet's formation began to break. Several ships peeled away, attempting to flee the solar system. Admiral Zexarn's voice crackled over the comm. "Foster, we've got runners. Orders?" "Intercept but do not destroy," Kyle commanded. "We need to show strength, not aggression." As the Coalition fleet moved to contain the fleeing progenitor ships, long-range sensors lit up with warnings. A massive energy surge erupted from the direction of Alpha Centauri, its signature matching that of the artifact network. Kyle's pulse quickened. "Another node activating in Alpha Centauri? We can't ignore this. Admiral Volkov, prepare for an expedition. You'll be taking our newest ship." Elena Volkov's face appeared on screen, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "The ESS Horizon is ready for her maiden voyage, sir. We've integrated all our latest tech, human, trill, and reverse-engineered progenitor systems. She's the fastest, most advanced ship we've ever built." Kyle nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity was about to take its first steps beyond the solar system, into a galaxy teeming with unknown wonders and dangers. "Admiral Volkov, your mission is to investigate the Alpha Centauri anomaly and secure any artifact installations you find. This could be the key to humanity's future in the galaxy." As the ESS Horizon prepared for launch, Kyle turned back to the ongoing negotiations. The progenitor factions, faced with Earth's unexpected resilience and technological advancements, were beginning to fracture. Kyle Foster stood at the center of it all, coordinating Earth's defense, managing delicate negotiations, and preparing for humanity's expansion into the stars. The next few hours would determine the course of human history for generations to come. As the ESS Horizon's engines flared to life, preparing for its historic journey to Alpha Centauri, Kyle couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. The galaxy was opening up before them, full of promise and peril in equal measure. As the horizon vanished into the depths of space, Kyle turned his attention back to the negotiations at hand. The next few hours were a whirlwind of diplomatic maneuvering. Kyle, with Dr. Elva's insights into progenitor factions, navigated the complex web of alien politics with precision. He leveraged Earth's newfound strength and the revelations about progenitor origins to secure a favorable position. "We propose a mutually beneficial arrangement," Kyle said, addressing the assembled progenitor representatives. "Earth will share its unique innovations, including our advancements in artifact integration. In return, we ask for recognition as a sovereign power and the right to expand beyond our solar system." The progenitors deliberated, their internal communications a flurry of encrypted transmissions. Finally, the lead negotiator stepped forward, its multifaceted eyes gleaming. "We accept your terms, humans of Earth," it announced. "You have proven yourselves worthy adversaries and potentially valuable allies. We shall grant you the status of a recognized galactic power." Kyle nodded, maintaining his composure despite the monumental nature of the moment. "Then let us formalize this agreement." As the treaty was drafted and signed, Kyle couldn't help but marvel at how far humanity had come in such a short time. From a species confined to a single planet to a recognized galactic power in a matter of days. With the immediate crisis commitment, Kyle shifted his focus to the opportunities that lay before them. He turned to John Blackwood, who had been monitoring the Artifact Network's activity. "John, what's the status of the Mars installation?" John's fingers danced across his console. "The wormhole is stable, Kyle. We've established a direct link between Mars and the Pluto station. I recommend we start construction on a permanent base around the Martian terminus immediately." Kyle nodded. "Make it happen. This will be our first interplanetary transit hub." As John set the wheels in motion, a priority communication came through from Dr. Kane's team on the Pluto station. Kyle accepted the transmission, and Dr. Kane's excited face filled the screen. "Kyle, you need to see this," she said, her voice brimming with excitement. "We've activated the station's primary systems, and, well, it's easier to show you." The feed switched to a wide-angle view of the station's interior. A massive holographic projection of the Milky Way galaxy hung in the air, studded with thousands of glowing points. "It's a map room," Dr. Kane explained. "Each of those points represents an artifact installation. There are thousands of them, spread across the entire galaxy." Kyle's mind raced with the implications. "This changes everything," he murmured. "John, Can you use this data to enhance our communication capabilities? John, already poring over the incoming data, nodded. Absolutely. We can create a network of long-range relays using principles from the artifact network, near instantaneous communication across vast distances. Get on it, Kyle ordered. He turned to Admiral Zexarn, who had been overseeing the Trill fleet's integration with Earth's forces. Admiral, I want you to organize a joint task force. Your mission will be to investigate and secure key artifact installations, starting with the nearest star systems. Zexarn's tentacles rippled with excitement. It will be done, Foster. We'll show the galaxy what the Human Trill Alliance can achieve. As the command center buzzed with activity, Kyle received word that Sarah Chen, Earth's newly appointed representative to the Galactic Council, was ready to depart. He made his way to the launch bay to see her off. Remember, Sarah, Kyle said as they stood before her sleek, diplomatic vessel, you're not just representing Earth. You're the voice of humanity on the galactic stage. The decisions you make will shape our future among the stars. Sarah nodded, her eyes reflecting the weight of her responsibility. I understand, Kyle. I won't let you down. As Sarah's ship lifted off, Kyle's thoughts turned to the ESS Horizon and its mission to Alpha Centauri. He tapped his communication device, opening a channel to Admiral Volkov. Status report, Admiral, he requested. Volkov's voice came through, tinged with static from the vast distance. We're approaching the Alpha Centauri system, Kyle. Long-range scans have detected an energy signature consistent with an active artifact installation. We're proceeding with caution. Good, Kyle replied. Keep me updated on any developments. And Elena, be careful out there. We're in uncharted territory now. As he ended the transmission, Kyle Foster gazed out at the starry expanse visible through the command center's viewport. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. The journey ahead would be challenging, but Kyle felt a sense of anticipation rather than trepidation. Little did he know that even as Earth celebrated its newfound galactic status, ancient forces were stirring in the depths of space, forces that would soon test humanity's commitment and push them to the very limits of their newfound capabilities. Kyle's contemplation was abruptly interrupted by a blaring alarm that echoed through the command center. Screens flickered to life, displaying a massive object approaching the outer reaches of the solar system. Sir, we're detecting an anomaly, John Blackwood reported, his fingers flying over the holographic interface. It's unlike anything we've seen before. Kyle leaned forward, studying the readings. Composition? Unknown, sir. It's not registering as any known material. The size. It's larger than Earth's moon. A chill ran down Kyle's spine as he recognized the implications. The Void Eaters, he whispered. Without hesitation, Kyle sprang into action. Activate all known artifact installations across the solar system, he commanded. Marcus, I need you to coordinate with your team. Create an interconnected energy field using the artifact network. Marcus's disembodied voice responded immediately. On it, Kyle. We'll form a protective barrier around the solar system. As the command center buzzed with activity, Kyle opened a secure channel to the ESS Horizon. Admiral Volkov, what's your status? Elena's face appeared on screen, her expression a mix of excitement and drive. We've made contact with the human descendants in Alpha Centauri, Kyle. They've agreed to an alliance. We're combining our technologies to create a joint fleet. Kyle nodded, relief washing over him. Excellent work, Admiral. Bring that fleet back to Earth as fast as you can. We're going to need every ship we can muster. Turning to his communications officer, Kyle issued his next order. Contact Sarah Chen. Tell her to convene a galactic summit on the Pluto station immediately. We need representatives from Earth, the progenitor factions, the Galactic Council, and the Trill. This is a threat to all of us. As the orders were carried out, Kyle watched the massive Void Eater object creep closer on the long-range scanners. He turned to John Blackwood. John, is the planetary defense grid ready? John nodded, his face grim. Integration with the artifact network is complete. We're prepared to fire on your command. Kyle took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. The moment that thing enters our outer solar system, hit it with everything we've got. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Kyle paced the command center, watching as the Coalition fleet assembled near Mars, a mix of Earth vessels, Trill ships, and the newly arrived Alpha Centauri fleet under Admiral Volkov's command. Suddenly, the Void Eater object crossed the threshold into the solar system. "Now, John!" Kyle shouted. The planetary defense grid hummed to life. A concentrated beam of energy, amplified by the network of micro-wormholes created by Project Pandora, lanced out across space. It struck the Void Eater vessel with devastating force. The massive bioorganic construct shuddered under the assault, fractures appearing across its surface. But it wasn't defeated. Swarms of smaller attack craft began pouring from the wounded vessel, heading towards the inner planets. "Admiral Zexarn, engage those fighters," Kyle ordered. The Coalition fleet surged forward, meeting the Void Eater swarm in a fierce battle that raged across the solar system. Explosions bloomed in the darkness of space as ships from both sides were destroyed. In the midst of the chaos, Marcus Rodriguez's voice cut through the command center. "Kyle, I found something. The artifact network, it's not just for travel and communication. It's a weapon designed specifically to combat the Void Eaters." Kyle's mind raced with the implications. "How do we activate it?" "I need time to initiate the sequence," Marcus replied. "It will link all active installations across the galaxy." "Do it," Kyle commanded. He then opened a channel to the ESS Horizon. "Admiral Volkov, we need you to make an attack run on the Void Eater mothership. Target its core." Elena's voice crackled through the comm. "Understood, sir. We're moving into position now." Kyle watched on the tactical display as the ESS Horizon, a pinnacle of human and alien hybrid technology, weaved through the battle towards the massive Void Eater vessel. Admiral Volkov's skilled piloting allowed them to slip past the creature's defenses. "Marcus, status?" Kyle demanded. "Almost there," Marcus responded, his voice strained with concentration. "Initiating the sequence. Now!" A wave of energy burst forth from Earth, spreading outward through the artifact network. It washed over the battling fleets, harmless to normal matter, but devastating to the Void Eater's unique biology. At that moment, the ESS Horizon reached the core of the Void Eater mothership. "Firing now!" Admiral Volkov's voice rang out. A concentrated burst of artifact energy struck the vessel's core, just as the energy wave engulfed it. The massive construct began to implode, collapsing in on itself. A short-lived singularity formed, swallowing the Void Eater mothership and its attack craft. As the energy wave continued to spread across the galaxy, reports began flooding in from various sectors. Void Eater vessels and outposts were being destroyed across the Milky Way. Kyle Foster stood in the center of the command room, watching as humanity's greatest threat was systematically eliminated. The battle was won, but the implications of their victory were only beginning to unfold. Earth had not only secured its own survival, but had saved the entire galaxy. As the realization sank in, Kyle knew that the future of humanity among the stars would never be the same.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.